Oh, yeah, baby. Of course, you go with the most obvious guy.
Each Collins in this film, too, right?
Yes. Yes, he was in the video. I'm getting an involuntary excitement based on my use of this as a child. All right. What's going on as we are brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook? Make every moment more with FanDuel. We are Toucher and Hardy. What else is going on?
It was hypothesized that maybe the Patriots have become the team that you have a get-right game against. I mean, after all, the Jaguars weren't looking too good, and then they kind of got things right against the Patriots. Maybe the Bruins are becoming that now because the Nashville Predators were winless on the season, had lost 4 games at home.
Yep.
They're
0-5.
0-5 to start the season.
Only team in the NHL without a win.
And the Bruins are coming into your building. Oh, boy, what's going to happen?
Right off the face-off, a chance for Stamkos moving toward the slot, but shot went wide to the right side. They work it back to Yossi coming in from the right point. A shot, score! So just 11 seconds into the power play, the Predators strike, and O'Reilly gets the redirect of the Yossi shot.
And that would be the eventual game winner.
So weird. So weird, Stamkos.
Yeah, Stamkos in a Nashville uniform. Very odd.
Yeah, it's very odd.
Still only 29 years old.
Yeah. He's been playing since he was 12.
I know. He's been in the league forever.
Yes, Nashville took advantage of the Bruins' penalties last night. They would score on the power play.
Novak, near circle, down low for Evangelista. Chance in front, and they score.
As you hear,
Bruins just couldn't quite get to the end of that power play chance. As the Predators, with another power play goal, have a 2-0 lead. Novak.
Actually, I believe the power play had just expired on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was at the end of, which is an absolute killer. You kill off most of a power play, and that happens. That made it 2-0. And again, the troubles continued into the third period.
Pass up the right side. Quick 2-on-1 here. Nyquist moving in right circle, and he scores. Nyquist with his first of the year, beating Swayman on the 2-on-1, and it's 3-0.
Montgomery changed the lineup before this game. He's like, we need a spark. We're going to move Brad Marchand up to skate with Lindholm and Pastrnak. We're going to drop Zacha down. He's going to be the third line left wing with Patra. We're going to move things around. Everything's going to change. Look great.
No, and
There was
Brad,
a fight.
Oh, yes. By the way,
they won.
Kastelik looked fantastic. This was what, the first 3 minutes of the game?
Yeah, he won. He won the fight.
Beat Luke Schenn senseless. Yes.
great. Brad Marchand.
That's what I like.
Brad Marchand has still not scored in 7 games to start the
But
season.
the winning streak continues for Nikita Zadorov. Another minor penalty. He has committed at least one in all 7 games this season. Good for him.
Listen, hang out around 500. I don't care. Just be big and strong in the playoffs. Just to stay relatively healthy and be big and strong in the playoffs.
I like that idea, and I like that theory if that's how it ends up working out. But that first period, especially last night, they just, the passes into the middle of the ice and getting the puck taken away from you in the neutral zone. I'm like, come on.
There's been many seasons.
Flow. They can't get anything flowing.
There's been many seasons they got everything flowing, and they got it flowing all year, and they would take 15 games, win 14 out of 15.
Fred's
and
right.
then they get into the playoffs, and then they're soft.
I will trade all of this. I don't care how just be in it at Thanksgiving, which is the first benchmark, and then get your way into the playoffs. You know, Swayman's a goaltender that certainly can get hot. We saw that at the end of last season. Then we'll see what happens.
I don't care if the last
win the cup by Thanksgiving, but you can lose the cup by Thanksgiving.
Thanks, Troop.
Unless something happens, and you lose or win a lot after. You know? Thanksgiving. It's a barometer unless something else happens.
Weren't the year that the Blues beat the Bruins in the Cup final? Weren't they the worst team in the league? Didn't they have the worst record, at least in their conference?
The worst playoff record.
And that was after New Year's.
Yeah.
Yeah, St. Louis was not a good team. That just
Bennington
wasn't
got
a good
hot.
team.
You know, they got a new head coach. Berube took over middle of the season, and away they went.
Yeah, they were so good they switched head coaches. Yeah. Just like the Jets, primed to win it all with their new coach.
So
Ulbrich.
the Bruins will be home to take on Dallas for their next game, and that starts a 3-game homestand. So hopefully things turn around a little bit. Fred, did you stay up late watching the Lakers last night?
No, I'm a little disgusted by what happened last night.
What? Why? I don't understand.
Because it's bad for the kid. Like, look, it's not my kid, but again, if I had a child who was a pretty good basketball player but not good enough to play pro, I'd do what I could to get them into college, and then I'd say, I'm taking my hands off the wheel. You go do what you got to do.
But LeBron is so happy.
It's family. It's always been family over everything. And, for me, I lost a lot of time because of this league and committing to this league, being on the road at times, missing a lot of his things, Bryce's things, Zuri's things. So to be able to have this moment where I'm working still and I can work alongside my son, it's one of the greatest gifts I've ever got from the man above, and I'm going to take full advantage of it.
Yeah, and it's also extraordinarily selfish of you. And I'll tell you this. They made a viral video. Did you guys see it?
Thank God. It's gone viral.
Yeah, I don't even think it was. I think it was just meant for the two of them.
Yeah.
Flash to LeBron James. I guess it's Bronny's car.
Yeah.
And he's pouring undescript cereal into it.
Oh, no, it is very descriptive. It's Fruity Pebbles. I know Fruity Pebbles.
No, but I don't think it says Fruity Pebbles. Because what comes out of it doesn't look like Fruity Pebbles.
I think this is actually a Nike commercial. I think this is.
You don't say.
I think it was actually a Nike commercial.
You don't say, John.
Yeah.
And so anyway, he flashed to the LeBron, and he's putting it in. And then Bronny comes out. He's wearing a nice Afghan. He comes out, and he opens the door, and the whole dang car is filled with cereal. And I will tell you this. Bronny did not know what to do. And LeBron pulls up and he goes, there you go, rookie. So no matter what, like the relationship is father, son, or that, he was strong-armed into taking him onto the team. So the Lakers, even though they're never going to win a championship, are kissing his ass. Just know he's still being treated like a rookie. Like every rookie that really made the team, he's getting treated just like that.
He's going to play. I told you this would happen. They invited Ken Griffey Jr. and Sr. to the game. It was a massive photo op for everything. The kid checked in with 4 minutes to go in the first half, played 3 minutes with dad, and then didn't play again. I mean, that's all this was, a massive publicity stunt. The kid's going to wind up in the G League for the rest of the season. And that's it. This is the one game.
Hold on a
you
second.
think it's the one game? I think they're going to keep him around for a couple weeks.
You do?
I do.
I don't know, man.
Fred, do you want to fire the starting pistol so I can take my victory lap? Go ahead. Tell the people what you see.
I see a box of Fruity Pebbles.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, but does it look like what comes out of it is Fruity Pebbles?
Well, I haven't gotten to that point of the video yet.
Fred's looking for the loophole.
No. He's pouring Fruity Pebbles. That wasn't the point of it. The point of it is stupid.
Yes. We all agree on that.
And then he goes, and then he runs, he books it to his
The point
car.
of it is they wasted a bunch of the best cereal ever. I think those could be actual Fruity Pebbles coming out of the car.
What do I know? Anyway, they have fun. They have a lot of fun, the two of them. And then he's in the back of this Rolls Royce, and he's like, I gotcha, rookie. You better be on time to practice. And he goes, what if I'm not on time to practice? He goes, I'll be fine.
And
they can't punish you.
And he tells him to clean up his driveway, which I'm on board with.
Because he still lives at home.
Yeah, but also sweep out the garage and sweep off the driveway.
And then Hardy comes out with a power washer and goes, someone called?
You wouldn't use a power washer on dry Fruity Pebbles on a dry driveway, dummy.
What if it dyed? What if dye got on? Well, in all seriousness, what if it was a humid day and dye got onto the driveway? Not so fast.
Okay, but you still wouldn't power wash first. You would use the leaf blower and then you would power wash.
Fine, but you could bring a power washer out there because
you're assuming it's humid.
We
don't know that it's humid.
You're in L.A. What are the odds? The odds are it's probably hot.
It's hot.
That's not humid. Dum. Boy, one says the dumb thing and the other one double dumb down on it. You two idiots.
What if the power washer was full of milk?
Adam.
Getting in on the dumb here. Getting in on the dumb.
Adam, you know what? I think you got a job with the Nike creative team. Because what if LeBron went, "Oh yeah, Dad," and then like just got a big trash can and filled it up with Fruity Pebbles and poured milk into it, and then he made potty.
What if he went back into the kitchen, got the big decorative wooden spoon off the wall, hanging right below the sign that says "No cussin', no fussin'"?
What if he goes, "I'm going to be late, I'm going to be late, I'm going to be late, I'm not going to make it, I'm going to be late," and he runs into the road and he's like, "I'm going to be late," and a truck hits him.
Get it?
That'll show him.
And then it went Nike. All right, hey, Nike, when your dad's doing it all for you.
Fade to black.
Adam's real hard up about this whole Red Sox situation. Now, is it about anything that's going on with the Red Sox? No. So don't tune out. This is something that Adam he says everyone's got this fever.
20th anniversary of the World Series.
Well,
Come
right.
on.
And the new
John.
Netflix documentary.
Don't let me tease it. All right. We'll be back in just a moment.
on opening night.
That is Sean Grandy and Cedric Maxwell here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Jason Tatum made 8 threes on his way to a 14 for 18 shooting night, a game-high 37 points, and a much easier than expected Celtics win over the Knicks, 132-109. The Green led by 35 at one point in the second half and played the bench for most of the final quarter. They'll play their first road game of the season tomorrow night against the Washington Wizards. The other game of the night was one on NBA. The other night on Game 1 of the NBA season was in L.A. Lakers beat Minnesota 110-103. LeBron James 16 points. He and Bronny James became the first father-son duo ever to play in an NBA game. Bruins got blown out in Nashville last night 4-0. They're back home to play Dallas tomorrow night. Patriots players will be back at practice this afternoon. They'll try to end a 6-game losing streak Sunday when they face the Jets in Foxborough. And ESPN is reporting that the Tennessee Titans are close to trading wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins to Kansas City. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by the $14.99 Big Deal Meals at the Nines. 4 new hearty full-size entrees like the roasted turkey dinner, available every Monday through Wednesday for just $14.99. You gotta love the Nines. I'm John Wallach at Boston Told for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7:30.
Here we go.
Boom. I win. Boom. Yeah.
It's a buddy.
We've got a passion for Boston sports.
Get angry.
98.5 The Sports Hub. In the office, in your car, in your footy pajamas, this is how Boston sports fans start their day.
I bet you're just jealous.
Toucher and Hardy on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Back to Folk. Red Sox fans have longed to hear it. The Boston Red Sox are world champions.
We are Toucher and Hardy. You can do us the favor of watching us on YouTube. Subscribe. Oh, subscribe. Subscribe. Then you're part of the algorithm. Then you've fallen into the station's trap, the Beasley Media trap. We are brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Hardy just received his package from Al from SSD Control. Al is a hero of the hardcore scene. He was just brought up on stage by a bunch of bands, but I believe Stone Gossard from Pearl Jam had him up on stage for basically the whole Pearl Jam show. Al is getting better. We're over here in Boston, and SSD Control is of influence to many of your favorite bands. And again, Adam receives nothing. I gave him a bunch of my stuff that Al sent me before, and I instructed Hardy, whatever you do, don't give Adam anything.
Well, you know what, Adam?
He'll just sell it.
There's enough to go around.
Nonsense.
I mean, I've got, little like 6x6 handouts here. I have photos here. There's a golf ball in here. There are pins. There are stickers.
That's a Benoit ball.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That would explain this string of beads then too.
Yeah.
But there's a guitar pick, Adam, and another hat.
There you go.
Which, if I can get you to stop wearing that, I love. I have a hunter's hat. That I also wear, but that formless hat that you wear, it's got to stop.
You don't like this one?
No, I do not.
Okay.
No,
I
no
have
one
an
does.
SSD hat. I just haven't worn it in a while.
We were talking about this behind your back the other day. All of us. Nick was there too.
Great.
Is that Adam isn't a bad-looking guy at all,
Thank you.
but it's almost like you deliberately ugly yourself up with what you wear.
Man. Wow.
That's a compliment.
Brutal. Thank you.
How is that brutal?
No,
You're a good-looking guy. Do you think anyone's ever said, Fred, you're a good-looking guy in any context? No. So thereby you win.
Thank you for the compliment.
Yeah, I said you're a good-looking guy, but you ugly yourself up. You wear dumb shorts and stupid socks. You got dumb hats on. I mean, everything you wear, Adam.
My T-shirt game's on point.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
But you got to admit that hat's no good.
I like the hat. I know
What
it's
about
got
the
a funny
Vans
shape
hat?
to it, but I like the Vans hat's a legit like vintage that I was able to find at a
Goodwill.
It's what is it?
Garbage?
Antique shop.
Yeah. The dumps behind it.
No, the dump
vintage.
divers to your left, man, not in here.
When's the last time you dumpster dived, Adam?
I don't do it.
All right. Listen, Adam is a big fan of the game of baseball, as I am, as so many are. And he's gone bananas. It's the 2004. It's the 20th anniversary.
That's right.
I didn't even live here. It's so long ago at the time. And but here's what's interesting: the Boston Red Sox swept the St. Louis Cardinals, who I am a fan of. So John grabbed his clarinet, and him and Adam went into one of those chambers where there's salt water and sensory deprivation chamber, and this is what they came up with. I'm putting you in on this too, John.
Okay.
All right, Adam, you tell us, because everyone's going hog wild for this 20th anniversary.
Well, they are because just in conjunction with, so I guess this would be the 20th anniversary of Game 1 of the 2004 World Series. Just released on Netflix is the comeback, the 2004 Boston Red Sox, the new MLB docuseries, which I'm very much looking forward to digging into tonight. But I decided...
Do you think you'll get something for being the guy that watches it?
I think a lot of people are going to watch it. There's a lot of nostalgia around this.
John, are you watching it all?
No.
You're not going to watch it, John?
Not. ESPN just did a 4 Days in October documentary that they play regularly on 30 for 30.
This is well-trampled ground.
I mean, really, we don't need... How many parts is it?
I don't know. I'm excited about it.
I think it's 9 parts or whatever the hell it is. I'm good.
Wow, that's surprising to hear that John Wallach, baseball guy, is out on...
I am a baseball guy, and I was at Games 1 and 2 of the World Series. I don't need another 9-part documentary.
I was at those games as well.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where they came up with the character Oscar the Grouch. One of the guys from the Children's Television Workshop was at the game and saw Adam in the trash can where he snuck in. Hey, Adam.
Yes.
So game 1 of that series, I was having my engagement party.
Oh. Wow.
Well, I'm now divorced.
Oh. No, sorry, Fred.
Thanks, guys.
It's okay.
You've always been there for me. And it was at my friend's club. And it was on the big screens, but let's be honest, I wasn't paying much attention. And then when they lost that game, I figured I don't even know if I watched Game 4. I certainly did not watch Game 4.
Yeah.
So let's put it this way: I decided that it was yours to win. But what I did like was how classy the Cardinals fans were, and they were letting the Red Sox fans move down. Boo. Boo.
The Cardinal fans in general, though, aren't they just too nice for their own good?
Yeah, but then you'll get on a Twitter page and then they'll...
Oh, no, there's that subsection that's wild the other way.
Well, no, I mean, it's... The reason the St. Louis Cardinals are a big team is because they cover a real big chunk of the country. They used to be the team furthest west. And when people listen to the games on radio, that AM signal covered all those flyover states.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of dumb hicks that are Cardinal fans. Thereby, they're racist. And then now there's the social media where they're real racist, and people will gleefully point out that these people are racist. And to that, I would say, yeah, they exist. All right, so here we go. But you remember the chemistry during the when was the next time they played in the World Series? When
06? You're talking about the Cardinals.
Yeah, it was Cardinals won in 06, but they played the Red Sox again
13. David Ortiz.
Do you remember when Ann Aldred had moved from here to St. Louis, and she came back to interview me because I was a Cardinal fan working in Boston? The connection between the two of us.
Oh. I do vaguely remember you saying that this was one of those times where you could feel the electricity. Yes.
If only I wasn't married, Ann.
Yeah.
We would have. I'm not now, but unfortunately you probably are.
I was a big fan of Ann Aldred. She was on HDH at the time with Dylan Dreyer.
No, she wasn't that big. She was I think she was natural.
What?
You said she was on HGH.
Okay.
Killing time until this bid starts.
All right, here we go. Adam has put together a list of players from both the Red Sox and Cardinals 2004 rosters. It will be your job, gentlemen, as fans of both teams, to tell me, did they play in the 2004 World Series.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
So, John, I believe you have a layup here to get things started. You will go first with Gabe Kapler.
Yes.
Okay, there we go.
He's on the field for the last out. Yes.
Gib.
Thank you. I was hoping you'd go there.
Gib.
Good dude.
What do you miss most about Boston?
Solid guy. Shows up.
Oh, was Gabe loved in Detroit. He was a muscular Jewish athlete. He could have had any woman he wanted there in Detroit, Michigan. They loved Gabe Kapler.
I bet they did.
No, they really did. Like, he was, like, on the cover of, like, every Jewish publication. And there were a lot.
I think I remember one of the times when Rucker brought him in, and we had a conversation. I asked him in a roundabout kind of way. I'm like, God, you're really, really fit. Do you think that your fitness level maybe had anything to do with your injury? And he owned it right away. He's like, oh, yeah, I built my body up way more than it needed to be for baseball, and it put strain on the tendons and then my Achilles specifically. And, yeah, that's what happened.
Ask Tyler and Neil how that goes.
Yeah. All right, Fred, are you ready?
No.
Tony Womack.
Tony Womack, second baseman, made his hay with the Pirates. Was Tony Womack
in the World Series in 2004 against the Red Sox?
Was he an in-season trade for the Cardinals? Tony Womack, sure.
Correct. Starting second baseman in all 4 games.
Okay, yeah.
How about
all right,
that?
there you go. Very good.
All right. Pokey Reiss. Wallach, Pokey Reiss.
I'm going to say no. I don't think so.
He was the defensive replacement in all 4 games.
Can you imagine if I win this? Boy, will you be dumb.
Well, here's the door's open, Fred.
Yeah, it is. I'm going to come flying through.
So Taguchi.
Oh, yeah. He was on that team.
Well,
he was a fan favorite. He always had a smile on his face. He was left field replacement.
That's right. Very good. Man, defensive replacement in 2 games.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was big in the Mets series, too.
I don't even know this. I don't even know who this is. Kurt Leskanich?
Liskanik. Curtis Liskanik.
I don't know. Why don't you get a better one than a Leskanik?
Liskanik was the last guy in the Red Sox bullpen. He was awful. I'm going to say no, he did not pitch in the 2004 World Series.
Wallach, killing it. Very good.
Well, I'm up.
Yeah. He's up 2.
Yeah, but
it's 2-2, but he's got the advantage here.
He needs a little something in life.
Okay, very good. So you're saying to tank this thing for the kid? All right, here we go.
Julian Tavares.
Former Red Sox, too.
Ugly.
Yes.
Ugly guy.
Yes.
He's the guy who
came to the Red Sox in 2006.
He was the guy that Ortiz used to rub his head.
No, that was Adrian Beltre. I thought.
No, Tavares.
That was
Tavares
Manny
too?
rubbing. The clip is Manny Ramirez rubbing Julian Tavares.
All I remember is Tavares got involved in a big brawl where it was with the Red Sox, and they interviewed another guy, and the guy said, "I looked at Julian and I saw evil."
Tavares is a pitcher. Tavares was ugly. Tavares was on that team.
Very good. Yes. Took the loss in game 1. All right, here's one for you, Wally.
Okay.
Dave Roberts.
Did not play in the 2004 World Series.
Unbelievable.
Did not play.
But
he had that stolen base.
Yes, he
that
did.
They needed a base hit and then to win the game after. Why is that stolen base so revered?
Because if he doesn't steal that base, Bill Miller doesn't score him, and Mariano probably gets out of the inning.
I don't know. That a lot had to happen after that stolen base. It's sort of like when the error in the '86 World Series. Like a lot had to happen after that.
Well,
they had to lose another game.
Well, Robert, that was game 4. They were down in the last inning.
Yeah, I know. I know what happened. I know the story.
So if Roberts doesn't score, they don't win, and they're eliminated.
What happened?
And then they don't go win the World Series.
Well, the base hit scores him,
right?
But there's nothing to be said that there wouldn't have there couldn't have been. He doesn't go to third, and then he scores on the next hitter gets him in.
With Rivera out there, the odds were slim.
But he didn't. He scored before.
Yeah,
that.
Fred, he didn't.
All right, very good. Okay, let's go. Let's not keep this going forever.
Fred, here's a guy from the Cardinals team who didn't practice. You know who that is? See if he was paying attention in the post-show meeting 2 days ago. This guy didn't practice.
Oh, no, you made a joke, but I didn't understand the joke, so you're going to have to help.
He don't practice Renteria. He got no crystal ball.
Oh, Edgar Renteria was the starting shortstop for the Cardinals.
What is that?
He just wanted to do the joke.
I didn't come up with these. Wallach, Kevin Youkilis.
Oh.
That was Uke's first year.
He'll
that was
sign
his
anything.
rookie year. I'm going to say no.
Well done, John Wallach. All right, so, Fred,
I'm up one, so this is the final one.
Yes.
This is the winner take all right here.
Either we tie or we win. I can't lose.
You can't lose.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for you. Now, take as much time as you need on this. Are you ready? Settle in. Rick Ankiel.
Interesting.
Take a little.
I know
less
the
time.
answer.
What's the answer?
No, he fell completely apart.
Oh my God!
Who would have thought? Everyone gives John so much credit for being such a baseball guy, but yours truly, Fred Toucher, takes the contest. Look at Freddie go! Everyone underestimates him. No one gives him credit for his vast sports knowledge. He knows more than John. He is handsome. His penis is fine. It's not small. You're just wide. All right, very good. You don't need a big organ unless you're playing a big cathedral, lady.
That's from the Batman soundtrack.
That's Prince. Yeah. Vicky Waiting. That's the name of the song.
Stop it. Stop shaming.
Damn right it is.
All right, now you're making up with some of your musical trivia. All right, there you go. Mike Reiss is going to join us, and we're just going to ask him questions about the 1972 Patriots.
We'll ask him about Pokey Reese.
Yeah.
There you go.
Ask her about the
Fred
1991
Toucher,
Patriots.
perfect in a series he admits to not even watching all of. That's how brilliant the man is.
Had he just made it to work on time today, he could have taken a real victory lap.
Listen, artists you got to give him some leeway. All right, very good. I'm barely
You're like
late.
Axl Rose, you're home taping your ankles.
Oh, did you see the unit on that guy? He used to deliberately wear short shorts so you would see it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so obsessed. All right, we'll be back with Mike Reiss.
Stay tuned.
to me being a player, try to coach everyone in their own unique style, but at the same time, you just got to perform better.
Hey, we're Judge Sharon Hardy. Mike Reiss is the ESPN NFL Nation reporter covering the Patriots. He's brought to you by DN Van Lines. Moving your home or business and need recommendation from someone? How about a recommendation from almost the entire staff here at the Sports Hub and Sports Hub itself? Yes, they moved the station too. DNVanlines.com. Mike joins us on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline. Hi, Mike.
Good morning, Fred. Hey, Hardy. Hey, John. Thanks for working around my schedule.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Out there in London.
Yeah, it's real annoying. Really gave us the runaround. No,
I know. I like to be on the day after the game, because you can talk about the game. Midweek, we got to adjust a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, we got to work on the fly, but there is stuff to talk about. Number one, what do you make of the Mayo softgate that's happening now with him saying the team was soft? There'd be some backpedaling. What's the reaction of the players? How is that being received?
Well, so let's be more specific. And how is it being received by whom? Like the
players, the organization. What's your feelings on how Mayo reacted to it or backpedaled a little bit on it? Do you think he regrets saying it? I leave the book open to you, and you turn the page and pick it.
Gotcha. There's a lot there, Fred. So I guess you start with regretful choice of words immediately after the game, right? Because he ended up, requalifying it. Is that how you would say it?
Yes.
The day after. So that's the first part. And that's not the first time that's happened, right? So self-inflicted wound is probably what I would call it on that. I don't sense right now, Fred, like the players were up in arms about it, because I think he had just told them the same thing in the locker room before he had come out, to speak to the media. That's been pretty apparent to me. So I don't sense that there's unrest among players as a result of him saying that. And, then you have the layer of it opens up, others to critique it, such as Bill Belichick, right? So there's a lot going on there, Fred.
Okay.
A lot going on there.
What did you make of what Bill Belichick had to say? And by the way, Lombardi, did you guys hear Lombardi yesterday?
Yep.
Lombardi's just lost. Do you have any respect? I'll ask you this. Mike, do you have any respect for Michael Lombardi?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Well, you're just a nice guy.
Fred, I want to tell you, because I on the Belichick thing, you asked me what did I think. There's a lot there too, and I think if I had to drill down and tell you what I thought about what Bill Belichick said, I think he was defending his honor. That's probably the best way I could put it, because I think this goes back to he's taken some low blows, right? It goes back to the dynasty. They crushed him. 2 weeks ago, Robert Kraft's on a podcast, ironically talking about an initiative that's supposed to bring people together, and it is, but he mentions about firing Bill Belichick in this podcast. And so I looked at it like Bill Belichick, I'm trying to think like why he would say it the way he said it. I look at it as like, he's like, okay, I got to defend my honor. And what he said was factually correct in the sense of they're not as good of a run defense this year as they were last year. The numbers are accurate, but I would say his analysis wasn't entirely thorough, and it was not without agenda, which I don't think his intention was to provide the most thorough agenda-free analysis, because I think he was defending his honor more than anything.
Do you think this helps him get another job? Do you think this is all working? Him being bad at media and spewing a bunch of stuff about how great he is with indirectly?
I think being present and on all these platforms does help him, because I think the owners, it's right there for the owners. I think they're gonna. So I actually do, Fred. I think you're asking specifically the content of what he's saying. Does that help? I look at it more big picture. I think just being out there and I do. I think it does help him.
And you think he's going to get another job?
I do.
Where?
I do.
Well, how many teams? How many teams can he really be the head coach of? Other than obviously Dallas is the easy one, but is there any other team?
If I'm Jerry Jones, I don't want him anywhere around me with all the skeletons in my closet.
We're gonna get into it later.
Plus, he'll have to bang his girlfriend.
Jones is not the biggest fan of Mike McCarthy.
Real old guys.
Yeah. So, I mean,
I'm
guys,
sorry, just Mike. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was talking about John. John was saying
I know.
Something he said, but I think. Well, help me out, guys, off the top of my head. So Dallas, we talk about
Philadelphia, Jacksonville. I don't know if Philadelphia is going to fire Sirianni, but we know that Bill Belichick has been rubbing up and down against Jeffrey Lurie. So
he loves the Giants.
But they're not going to fire Dable. No one in New York thinks they're firing Dable.
But we're just talking about possibilities.
Sure.
Cleveland. Cleveland, would that be something? I'm just talking off the top of my head here.
Those are places that Cleveland might want him, but I don't think Bill is going to be interested in going to any place that doesn't have a quarterback in place.
I think he'd go anywhere.
I don't know that he's going to make that mistake again. Because
I think he'd go anywhere.
Well, if you are going to say that he's trying to defend his honor by saying these things and going after Mayo and the way he's talking about the team, the biggest thing that Bill needs to defend with regard to his honor right now is the way his coaching career has ended up until this point. So I don't think he's going to put himself in a position where he's hamstrung by a quarterback and a bad offense again. He wants to go into a place where at the very least they've got a quarterback in place, maybe a good offensive coordinator or somebody who he can hire to run what is already pretty solid offense.
He's not going to go to a place with that. If he gets hired as coach, he's blowing everyone out.
Josh McDaniels is free and clear. He's not working. He's going with Bill wherever he goes.
Okay, so maybe that's the plan, though, to go to a place that at the very least has a quarterback. You bring in McDaniels and he can focus in on the defense.
All right, then let's do the exercise. Who has a quarterback that's going to lose their coach?
Jacksonville.
I don't think that Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback.
They've got more of a quarterback than Cleveland does.
Yeah, Cleveland doesn't have a quarterback.
They don't have.
And Cleveland has a terrible owner. I mean, if he takes the Cleveland job, you can sign off on this, Mike. If Bill was to take the Cleveland job, he'd take literally any NFL job.
I think so, Fred. That's my opinion. I don't know that. I haven't talked to him, but I think he would. Other than the Jets, which was sort of fun to think about a couple weeks ago, when we asked, would he consider that one? Sounds like that would be the one he probably wouldn't. But otherwise, I sort of look at it like he has confidence in his ability to win with whatever, and he'll make it work.
Yeah, Woody Johnson's a moron, and they both hate each other, and he wouldn't hire him anyway. But if you want to go work for that mess in Cleveland, the guy with the rest stops, good luck.
Jimmy Haslam.
Yeah, Jimmy Haslam's in
Dallas.
Lord knows the trouble his family's in. Go ahead.
Dallas checks all the boxes. They have a quarterback who signed up, led the league in touchdown passes last year, and I don't know if they're going to re-sign Micah Parsons, but
they don't have a defense.
Is pretty good.
No, their defense isn't good.
Their defense is hurt. They're missing a lot of guys.
Yeah, but their defense in the reality is not a good defense.
Mike, let me get back to just what we were talking about to kind of start this whole thing with Belichick when he is saying that the team is softened, but because he doubled down on this on the let's go Padre, everybody, let's go.
Oh,
let's go.
By the way, you know what Jim Gray didn't ask Tom Brady? Anything about the Vegas thing and how that would affect his Fox job.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, imagine that.
Let's go. I'm going to do whatever you say. Let's go.
But Bill's doubling down on this, and he keeps saying, they got all those same players we had last year, and we're the number one rush defense in the league. Why is he just purposely ignoring the injuries that the team has? And look, they're bad, and they might be soft, and I'm not saying they're good, but every time Bill talks about this, and now he doubled down on it by saying they got all the same players, that's not true. So is he doing this as a means to be willfully ignorant of the situation, or does he know that anywhere outside of New England, no one's paying attention enough to the injuries on the Patriots? So he figures, I can probably get away with saying that, and 90% of the people watching and listening aren't going to fact check me on this.
I think that's right, Hardy. I think that, this is why I had said, I think he was defending his honor, but I think I don't think his goal was to give a thorough, agenda-free analysis of the situation, because if it was, he would have said, Jawan Bentley is one of their best run defenders. He's injured. Christian Barmore was not the best run defender, but he's an ascending player. He's not there. Jabril Peppers isn't there. They traded Matthew Judon. That would be more consistent with what Bill did when he was coach on a Wednesday. No notes, and he would come to the podium and he would tell you every player on the other team, and you'd almost be in awe, Hardy, of being like, how does he know this stuff?
Yeah, and I know that some of the players that, are there now, they were injured last year, but it's not an apples to apples situation with the roster.
Correct.
It's just it's frustrating. It's got to be frustrating for Mayo and everyone else, but I think that's probably the key word right now is frustration. Certainly on the defense. Offensively, this is a weird time for the Patriots, and I think for Patriots fans, because I can't think of another situation where people have felt this amount of optimism. It's not a ton, but there's a healthy amount of optimism about this team right now based solely on the play of Drake May and what he looks like out there. To think that anyone is feeling any kind of good about a 1-6 team is kind of remarkable.
That's an interesting viewpoint, Hardy, because I came back from London and it feels more negative to me than optimism. So that's actually, you caught me a little bit by surprise on that. And
well, I'm out there on the street. I'm talking to the people, and I haven't lost touch with that. And people, no, I think the general consensus is, oh man, they can't win. They're getting blown out. But Drake May looks good. Drake May is a quarterback. They haven't seen it. You haven't seen someone playing quarterback in modern NFL way since Mac Jones' rookie season.
Well, there's no doubt, Hardy, he's the best thing they have going for them right now, in my opinion. I think what I'm hearing, just to counter it, is concern with the head coaching leadership and the structure and the culture. And this is more from being out on the street or being on in the airport coming back from London and talking to fans, just questioning, like, is the coaching at the level it needs to be? Are they getting the players to support Drake? And so I guess it's a balance there.
Now, you're not going to get the word on the street in the Centurion Lounge at the airport, Mike. That's not where the real scuttlebutt is. You got to get down and dirty.
All right, Michael. Thank you. Did you enjoy London?
I did enjoy London. That's a long way to go, and I had a little trouble getting back, as we know, but it was good. It was a good trip.
What happened? Plane crash?
It was a weather thing, which was bizarre because others got back, but I just bad luck. So I ended up getting stuck there for an extra day, and I just got back late yesterday. So sort of scrambling.
Oh, sorry about that. Well, Mike, we always appreciate you coming on no matter what day it is. I'll be at the game on Sunday. I mean, I'll probably be featured a lot on the big screen, so you can see me up there. Appreciate it, Mike.
All right. Appreciate you guys. Always great being with you. Have a great rest of the show.
All right. Thanks, Mike. There you go.
I wonder if Mike really thinks you're going to be featured a lot in the big screen. There's like no reaction. He's like, oh,
I just think he's just like, good, the interview's ending.
Yeah.
I think he's like, that's fine with me. You say whatever you want, Fred.
Yeah. I'm going to go now.
Yeah. You keep talking about this guy's girlfriend. All right. Tyler Milikin, I don't know what's going on with this, but I know I ran a 5K, and I know Milikin did something dumb.
I know Hardy's very excited about this.
Yeah, and I'm excited about it, too.
I really am.
All right, so let's not waste any more time. Let's go to the headlines.
Sports Hub headlines.
Celtics tied an NBA record with 29 made threes last night. They beat the Knicks on opening night, 132-109 at TD Garden. Jason Tatum, 37 points. Celtics hang the banner. They're 1-0. They visit the Washington Wizards tomorrow evening. Bruins lost big in Nashville last night, 4-0. They're back home to play Dallas tomorrow night. Patriots players will be back at practice this afternoon. They'll attempt to end a 6-game losing streak Sunday when they host the Jets. And the Tennessee Titans have this morning acquired wideout DeAndre Hopkins from Tennessee for a conditional 5th-round draft pick. The Titans will apparently pick up half of his salary. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by John Sewer and Drain Cleaning, keeping drains flowing for homes and businesses in the greater Boston area since 1976. Go to johnsewer.com. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8 o'clock.
More Toucher and Hardy.
dressed like a gorilla.
Half Hardy.
A big, beautiful ball of flame.
And a whole lot of Boston sports.
And I have had many offers to become an insider.
All right, we are Toucher and Hardy. Tune in tomorrow for your chance to win a pair of tickets to be at the Garden for tomorrow night as the Bruins face off against the Stars. The Bruins unveiled their special edition Centennial Game jerseys, and you can celebrate this historic milestone by pre-ordering one of the 1,924 of these authentic pro jerseys. Visit BostonProShop.com, and you can know that we are brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. All right, so now all I know is that I ran a 5K on Sunday. I did it in 30 minutes, 1 second. I thought that was impressive. I was told by everyone it was not. And so that's all I know.
It was under my guess for what you ran it in.
Yeah, but you have no faith in me. You think I'm scum.
That's a sub 10-minute mile for over 3 miles.
I want you to know I almost hit the number right on the button. I guess 26 minutes and 45 seconds.
You didn't 26?
No, what did I guess? 29:45 is what I guessed.
Yeah, but I said, did Milikin, when we were talking about this before, I said, did Milikin say I lied about it? And I showed this is really my time. And then John said, why would you lie about a 30-minute 5K? Huh. And I went, oh. I was trying my hardest.
I didn't know that was an insult.
I ran
well, John, maybe if you knew what were insults, you wouldn't hurt so many people.
Only you would take that as an insult.
Well, it's obviously affected me.
I ran as fast as I could. Isn't that what you're supposed to do?
Yeah, I don't know what to do. I tried my best, guys.
So I go into one of the other rooms here, the Jock Lounge producer area, whatever, for the midday show. And T-Bone said something to the effect of, oh, my God, if you were back here 2 minutes ago, you're a Milikin, you would have killed him. Like, what? Go ahead, tell him. So Milikin and I started discussing what they had been discussing, and it had to do with your 5K. And I said, Milikin, stop. Would you be willing to have this conversation with me, and I'll record it, and we can talk about it on the air. And he didn't see any problem with that. He feels no shame in what he said. And so I started recording, and this is what happened.
I'm here with Tyler Milikin. Tyler, you heard us talking this morning about Fred running his 5K yesterday.
Yes, I did. And I was honestly very confused by the entire conversation.
Okay, so what confused you about Fred running a 5K yesterday?
I don't really understand where the 5K comes from, what it's referring to, what it really means. I don't know if it's a distance thing. I don't know if it's a charity. Honestly, I went to money. I thought it was $5,000. We're all out here to donate $5,000, and this is just what we're doing to, do it for charity.
Right, so one person ran against themselves. Tyler, not all of us are big podcast stars, but most people aren't laying down $5,000 for a charity.
He thinks it's a five. He initially thought before I went back there that 5,000 meant, oh, they're raising $5,000. What are they doing?
Okay.
5K.
Yeah.
And you also like to, put a nice ceiling on things.
Yeah, we don't. Not a penny more. 5,000, that's it, and then we're out of here.
All right, there's 2,000 of you. A couple of you can give us $2 and change, but other than that, let's just keep it to $2.
So you thought 5K was either a dollar amount or maybe like a 501c3 charity. It's just a bunch of...
Oh, man, his head exploded.
I know.
Numbers and letters.
Like a 501c3 charity. It's just a bunch of numbers and letters put together, and it was a charitable endeavor.
Yeah, where there's 5,000 people there, and they're all donating different amounts of money or participating their time in different ways.
I'm going to ask a question I already know the answer to. Have you ever run a 5K?
No. I've never run any kind of distance, race, or anything along those lines, not even the mile in high school.
Didn't you have to run like the 1.5 miles in a high school gym to pass your fitness class?
The way things worked out every single year was I had some kind of injury, lower half usually, and I did not participate in any of that. I did do sit-ups, though, and, I could do about 30 or 40 in a minute.
Now that we've had a few minutes to discuss this, do you know what 5K stands for?
No clue whatsoever. If somebody can enlighten me, I'd love it. Maybe I could do my own 5K.
Okay, now that you know it's not 5,000, what's your best guess? What does 5K mean?
It has to, I'm assuming, deal with some kind of distance. I'm just not very good with the different measurements.
Okay, so what distance starts with a K?
Kilometers. Kilometers.
Oh boy, that guy, he's walking around.
It's not an act.
He's walking around. He's like a normal person, just like you and me. He's out there.
Yeah, they're kilometers. One's a kilo.
Kilometers.
Yeah. Kill those meters. I don't like the New Orleans funk.
I don't know. I really don't. I'm not very good. This was one of those sections in math class that I was out on. That and fractions.
Okay.
Well, then you were out on math completely.
There's only a couple things left. I mean, percentages.
He made it out of high school.
But he knows stats.
Yeah, but I mean, that's not a tough
stats.
Tough road to hoe.
Curry College. He knows.
Oh no!
Oh no way!
Milliken? Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh boy!
You have a beautiful campus. You really do, and I understand. I understand that you have a great service to many, many kids. But Bird and Milikin at the same place is not looking great for you.
I don't know. I really don't. I'm not very good. This was one of those sections in math class that I was out on. That and fractions.
Okay.
I'm out, Teach. I'm out on fractions.
That's okay. That's okay.
That's okay. We're just going to go straight to, I don't know, like addition again. Well, as long as you know the addition, we'll pass you.
It is kilometer.
Okay.
So what distance in relation to a mile is a kilometer?
Since I'm just learning of this new measurement right now.
Is it more than or less than a mile?
I'm going to assume it's more than a mile, but I'd call it maybe roughly 7 or 8 miles, maybe a third.
Adolfo, you've come back to us in another form.
7 or 8 miles, maybe a third.
So he thinks it's a First of all, thank you for thinking I ran 21 miles.
We're going to get into that.
21, 28, 35 miles.
Fred?
Don't jump ahead.
No,
I mean, I ran a minute mile for 35 miles.
This is like good jazz. We're thinking the same way. This is good. I think these are the same questions you would ask.
They are.
I'm going to assume it's more than a mile, but I'd call it maybe roughly 7 or 8 miles, maybe a third. Like a third of a marathon. Excuse me.
5K is a third of a marathon.
Yes, I'll double down on that. Marathon's 26.5 miles.
26.2 miles.
Boom. So give me a third of that. 8.1.
So 5K equals about 8 miles.
Yeah, roughly. Give or take a couple feet.
Do you know what Fred's time was in the 5K?
I'm going to go 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Wait, how long did you think it took me to run 2 hours?
Give or take a couple feet.
Yeah, a couple feet. What? Take.
2 hours and 20 minutes.
8 miles, 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Thanks, Tyler. I mean, that's nice of you. What, did I crawl? Did I fall asleep? I know I'm not an Adonis, but I mean, like, geez, Louise.
It was 30 minutes.
Wow. Wow.
Why are you saying wow? You don't even know how long you ran.
Well, that seems very athletic. That's a very quick, kind of distance to kind of cover that. And no offense to Fred, he doesn't seem like a, casual sprinter or anything like that.
It almost like you unveiled some car keys and started shaking him. He gets so excited. Oh, wow.
He is like a child, though, when it's like, how much that house cost? $500,000. Wow. How much should it cost? What are the comps in the neighborhood? You have no concept of anything. So why are you impressed with this amount? That's what Tyler is in this moment. Wow, 30 minutes. That's great. You don't know how far he ran. You don't know what a kilometer is.
No, but he managed to insult me.
Kind of distance to kind of cover that. And no offense to Fred, he doesn't seem like a...
You can't say no offense, and because then I'm going to take offense no matter what you say.
Kind of distance to kind of cover that. And no offense to Fred, he doesn't seem like a, casual sprinter or anything like that.
Well, now that you know Fred ran the 5K in 30 minutes, how much distance do you think a 5K is now? Do you still think it's 8 miles?
Definitely not. I'm going to go a mile.
30 minutes.
He is a special guy, Milikin. Man.
Oh, he like legit just doesn't move fast.
No offense to Fred.
Like, when was the last time he walked a mile? Like,
Give
when
or
was
take
the
a
last-
couple feet.
When was the last time he like used Google Maps in the city and like was like, oh, that's a half a mile away? How long did it take you to walk a mile?
Kilometers.
If you were to walk a mile, what are you walking? 3 miles an hour? So if you were to walk a mile just casually, it's 20 minutes.
No. Is that fair? Mile and a half? I can't imagine Fred actually putting a lot.
You think it took him 30 minutes to run a mile and a half?
I've timed myself, on the larger side. If I had to do a mile, I know you typically lean around 15 minutes, and I assume Fred wouldn't even want to give that. And if it's a mile and a half, give me 30.
Thank you, Tyler.
Thank you.
Oh, great. He's comparing me to him. That's unfair. Tyler, we are not the same physically. Like that, I assure you. How dare you, Tyler?
No.
I was so kind to your cousin, too.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Kilometers.
Sometimes it's so confusing, it's confusing. You dealt with that. Nick, because Zolak's asking if we want to switch Nick for him. But I'll say this, no way.
No.
Nick does great
No.
videos. Nick works hard. I don't want Nick.
No, we're not losing Nick over this. No.
But I'll tell you, there's kids walking around with college degrees not as quick as Nick. And I'll tell you this, Nick's no Elon Musk or anything, but he's
Yeah, or there's 5,000 people there.
For the 5K.
This is who's ruling the podcasting game. All right, we'll be back in just a moment. Our friend Chris Forsberg starts his first of weekly appearances talking about the Celtics.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
This NBA season, you can make every play, pass, and point mean more with fans.
last night and then went out and played like champions. They beat the visiting New York Knicks 132-109 on opening night. Jason Tatum led 6 players in double figures with 37 points.
Yeah, I mean, shot felt good. I was in a good rhythm and things like that. And I think just offensively, I feel like we just kind of picked up from where we left off last year.
They tied an NBA record by making a franchise record 29 three-point shots in the win. The Celtics have tonight off. They visit the Washington Wizards tomorrow evening. The other game in the NBA last night was also record-setting. The Lakers beat Minnesota 110-103. LeBron James and Bronny James played 3 minutes together at the end of the first half and became the first ever father-son duo to do that in an NBA game. The Bruins lost in Nashville last night 4-0. Ryan O'Reilly and Luke Evangelista each had a goal and an assist for the Predators, who won their first game of the season. The Bruins are back home to play Dallas tomorrow night. Patriots will take a 1-6 record into a home game against the Jets this Sunday. They'll be back at practice this afternoon. And the NFL's trade deadline is November 5th. Kansas City Chiefs made a move this morning, getting wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins from Tennessee for a conditional 5th-round draft pick. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by East Coast Metal Roofing, the official roofing partner of the Boston Celtics. Mention 98.5 The Sports Hub and get 10% off your new roof. Visit eastcoastmetalroofing.com. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8:30.
No matter where you go, you're always connected to Boston sports with the 98.5 The Sports Hub app. Download it wherever you get your apps today.
Twitch feed of this is going to be used all around the internet.
Get up.
The cat is finally out of the bag.
Get up.
We're back. Hunter and Hardy.
Get up.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Last season was a fairy tale script for the Boston Celtics, and it has carried over to opening night, ring night, banner raising, emotions, celebrations, and then history as the Boston Celtics make an NBA record 29 threes, and they bludgeon the New York Knicks on opening night. The final score, Boston 132, New York 109.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. We are brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. You can watch us over there on the YouTube. You can subscribe. Our shows are up all the time, so you can watch them at your leisure, but you can watch them live and get involved in the chat with Riz and all those fellas that have been around for a long time. Women, too. Chris Forsberg covers the Celtics for NBC Sports Boston. Talking Green with Chris Forsberg is presented by Bentley University, where good business begins and leaders come to learn. Chris joins us on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline. Hello, Chris.
Good morning, friends. How are you?
You are very upbeat, despite the fact that you were at the Garden very late. How was the banner raising ceremony? What luminaries were in the audience? Who did you shake hands with? Who did you hug? You tell us.
There were Wahlbergs everywhere. It was an amazing night. I don't know. I was very fortunate enough to be around this when they raised it in 07, 08, or after that season. And I don't know. This one was just a little bit different, having been around more part of this adventure. And it was just cool to watch them revel in that moment. I think they hit every high note. As a Worcester guy, I was super geeked to see Bob Cousy make the trek out there, 96 years old, and doesn't make that venture in anymore, but found a way to be there. And I think Jalen actually gave him the trophy as the banner was going up. So just a super cool moment. They hit all the right notes, and then even better, they found a way to kind of shift right out of it and play some good basketball, which gives you hope that they might do the same thing next year.
Yeah, I mean, in a banner raising ceremony and a ring presentation, that's a legit ceremony. And the Celtics have had plenty over the years, whether it's jerseys or recognizing other people and things. But this one, it's important to A, not to screw it up, and B, not to go out there and play a dud of a game afterwards. So that part of the night was, I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was really well done.
So, what's funny is, and what I don't remember from 2008 is that, and Scalabrini was telling us this on our post-game show, is that they gave the mic to Paul Pierce, and evidently he just rambled for like 8 minutes, and he thanked his brother's best friend's dog, and like people are like, let's get this thing over with. But like Tatum grabs the mic, and look, people have been writing about cliche and saying all the same things that other superstars in the past have said, but I thought he was perfect with it. It was he was a little emotional, and then he says, let's do this again, and the fans roar, and it was quick. It was just to the point. But like I said, I think the best part is I thought there would be, if there was one night I was ready to give them a little bit of wiggle room for not playing to a standard, I thought the emotion of that ceremony might linger. And then, they come out and Tatum scores whatever it was, 15 points in the first quarter and hits every three he puts up. And it's like, whoa, they understand there's something special here. And there's a real chance to sort of leave their imprint even beyond what they've already done.
Chris, I can't get over the vibe that Joe Mazzulla puts out there. And you saw him walk to get his ring and bend over and kiss the garden floor. And then you asked him about it afterwards. What did that taste like? And he said it tasted like blood. And he said, the ring's too big. I'm never going to wear it. I mean, I'm
starting to like Joey.
He is really something.
Yeah,
that guy.
you take those owners down a little bit. He was faking it the whole season.
Look, if he's not going to use the ring, I'm happy to wear it around.
It's really weird. The whole thing that he's going through, there's no happiness at all. It's very strange.
Well,
you don't know how it feels, you simpleton.
Sorry.
But you know what? I think I keep telling people this when we sat down to do all those player interviews, just like you guys do on media day, and everybody comes through, and someone said at the end of the day, they're like, "What's your biggest takeaway?" And I said, my God, they love Joe Mazzulla. And not that I didn't kind of know that through last season. And certainly once you win one, there's just a whole different level of buy-in that occurs. But all the stories about, how crazy he is and all the little stuff he does. And I think like everybody, it takes a minute. You're like, what is going on here? Like, why is he the way that he is? And then you kind of figure it out and you realize he's just a little psychotic in like how he approaches everything in life. And yet it's always designed to put his players in the best position to succeed. He had a plan from the start in terms of giving them adversity and letting them grow from it. And now you see he's just put them in a spot where I know some basketball purists will sit there and look at it and go, oh, so many threes. I hate that. And it's like, no, they are designed to sort of just I don't even know what the right word is, devour the NBA the way they showed last night. They're going to set all sorts of records this year for three-point makes and three-point attempts. And it's not just because they're jacking threes. It's because they've been put in a position where they make quick decisions. They lean into the talent they have. And Joe sort of saw the vision, and Brad too, in the way they constructed the roster. And it's just neat to see that it went from, is this guy for real? Is he the guy to lead this team forward to, Brad sitting there with me on media day and saying unequivocally, we thought he was the right guy to get us to banner 18, and he's the right guy to lead us to banner 19.
The question, obviously the Celtics were far better than the Knicks last night. The Knicks are a good defensive team, and the Celtics scored 130, and it could have been worse if they had kept the starters in. I don't think the gap between those two teams is quite that large. Do you?
Is it? Look, and I'm not just doing that. I do like to rile up the opposing fan bases, especially the Sixers, who already are benching their, or not benching, but not playing two of their superstars who are because of injuries.
Yeah, don't go crazy with that yet, because I want to talk about that in the next break.
Yeah,
I do want to talk about that.
We were talking about that earlier.
Well,
yeah.
I will just say the Knicks in general. I do think they're better than last year. Did they close a 14-game gap? And let's face it, the Celtics were just so much further ahead of the rest of the league by the end of the year. And as you said, the defense is supposed to be this vaunted, they got OG and Mikal Bridges now, and they still can't mask Cat and Jalen Brunson. So I think the Celtics are in a really good spot against the rest of the East. I think they're motivated against the rest of the East. And I don't know. I just don't feel the gap is closed. And at least, I thought the Knicks might have a chance to sort of lay a foundation of, okay, we're going to be in the mix. And then you look up and they're down 30 in the first half. And you're like, might just still be a gigantic chasm between where the Celtics are and the rest of the league.
I know. It was just a strange night to have the announcers last night and the guys on TV insisting upon the Knicks they're gonna be really good. This team.
Oh, it was constant.
It was throughout the game. I'm like, this isn't the time for it. I mean, the story of the night was the Celtics' dominance from the very beginning, and then unfortunately at the end inability to set the record for three-pointers, which was, I was laughing out loud. I couldn't help myself.
Oh, my God.
I mean, 13 straight misses at the end of the game where they couldn't miss from three, and then nobody could hit one.
I love that Derek White took ownership of it. He had noticed it in the box score on the bench. Had told everybody. And then once it's in your head, like, now you're pressing. You're not just playing free. I think that would be the message. Like, I think if they sit down to watch film today, the only thing they're going to look at is those misses. And Joe Mazzulla is going to be like, see, you guys still have so much room to grow. There's so much better you can be. And I love that. Like, you always find motivation in something in the same way that, we know that Tatum and Brown found motivation from their summer blip. So, but it was hilarious. Like, when the Garden was chanting one more three, and poor Jordan Walsh missing by about 14 feet on one of his three-point attempts. It was a neat moment, and the thing that really jarred me was, like, they missed all those threes. I'm like, oh man, that three-point percentage is going to really come down. And then you look, and they still shot 46.5% on three-pointers for the game. And I'm like, I don't know how in the world you beat that team if they do that.
Yeah, it's how is it covering the team when they're so good? Because it's great because I know tickets for last night were super expensive, and I know people that were using that as like, oh, I'm going to the banner ceremony. It's become one of those kind of events in a big city. Yeah. But, through 82 games, I think ESPN had them as like a greater than 99% chance of making the playoffs.
The Knicks shot 55% from the field last night.
Yeah.
Jalen Brunson was 9 of 14, and they had no chance.
Yeah, and those, obviously aren't bad numbers. And Brunson played, he shot well.
Scored 22 points in 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Didn't matter.
Yeah, it didn't matter. I mean, this team's, what's it like covering it? No one's complaining, but just what is it like?
Yeah.
Is it for you as a journalist and a broadcaster almost like they're too good?
Yeah, no, we sat there last night, and like our little PGL squad was sitting together, and we're like, what are we going to talk about? How are we going to do 100 games of this if they're just like smacking opponents every night? And again, great problem to have, great thing to have to figure out. But certainly we're going to have to be a little bit more nuanced with the discussion. I can't tell you what it's like. I mean, I know they were dominant last year, and I think it took a while to register just how good they were. And you look up now, and you're like, well, what if they do it again? And I just think the probably the way I'll approach it is like trying to put it in historical context. Like, where does this team rank among the great teams? And I don't want to get too far ahead. It's one game. Like, you can always come back to earth. We'll see what happens over the course of the season. But it really does feel like they have a chance to slot themselves amongst some ridiculous teams that maybe a year ago we wouldn't have thought that this group would necessarily be next to. And like, I think that, again, I coming into the year, I feel like they sensed that. I think that Joe has hammered it home. It's one thing, you're going to be remembered fondly because you won one. But if you win two, or if you do anything more, like, it changes everything.
Especially,
and I think they understand the gravity of that.
Especially if they go back to back. That's the thing.
Right.
Well, if you go back to back,
that's the separator.
Then you're one of the all-time great teams. I mean, there's just no debating it. I mean, Golden State is one of the all-time great teams. Chicago. I mean, people still talk about the bad boy Pistons.
In Celtics context, the last back-to-back championship was Bill Russell, 68 to 69. A lot of people talk about those 60s teams.
No, I'm saying that if you go back-to-back, you're automatically on the in the very, very small group of greatest teams of all time. I mean, you are. I mean, what was the talent on that Bad Boys to Pistons team? Not a list of Hall of Famers.
They had one, right?
They had two. They had two. They had Rodman and they had Thomas. And
the Bad Boys.
Oh, I'm thinking of the
Bad Boys. Oh, yeah,
the other ones.
No, the Billups one was not.
Billups one was
an all-time team. That was
the Bad Boy Pistons.
That was just great coaching.
Rodman and Thomas.
Yeah, but Rodman, wasn't that guy. So anyway, but there's still talked about. I mean, there's documentaries about that team. This Golden State team with Steph Curry and Draymond Green and Klay Thompson. I know Klay Thompson's not on anymore, but that threesome is going to be considered one of the all-time teams. Why? They went back to back. Like, that's just the way it is, and that's smart. And if the team cares that much about their legacy and their history, that's an easy team to root for. And
100%. And like, I think the other thing that crystallized last night was that when they were getting the trophy, you could tell it sort of clicked. It's like, you win it and you just you celebrate it, but then you watch Cousy and Pierce and Garnett and Allen and all these legends come out and you're like, man, you're kind of one of them now. You're going to be coming back in 20 years. And there's a whole nother level they can go to, but man, they're kind of like they've carved out their spot, and that's kind of wild because in the moment it's hard to kind of sit there and recognize that.
Yeah, it is interesting. And Grossbeck seemed like not embarrassed by everything. He didn't feel like exposed.
Exposed? No. Like I think he's savoring every second of this.
All right, because it's not his team. It's a little embarrassing.
I mean,
don't you think it was a little embarrassing?
No, like, look, this dude's going completely YOLO here with like just savoring every second of it, and I'm here for it. Like, if I knew like my time was running short at NBC Sports Boston, like I would be obnoxious on every show, and like,
well, you'd have to have a fallback plan, Chris. I don't know if they're paying you enough to throw it all away at your age.
You mean my next adventure won't be worth $6 billion? Like, yeah, I'll have to come up with a backup plan, but I'll still try to be obnoxious.
Yeah, I just don't. Well, good for Grossbeck. Listen, I have nothing against the guy. I just think the timing of his dad making him sell the team and it all coming out that he only had 2% of it was unfortunate because the guy had just been like literally, riding down the streets of the town he grew up while everyone celebrated him, and his dad just went, no. So I feel more bad for him than anything else. All right, Chris, you're going to stick around for another break as you are being compensated, and we will. But you were very loyal before this. You deserve every penny.
Very loyal.
And so what we will do is when we come back, I do want to get into this Embiid stuff. If we can find it, Garnett and Pierce really went off on it. We have it. Did you guys hear Garnett talking about it? Have you guys heard that?
Yes.
Yeah,
I have. Yes.
None too pleased.
No.
So it's not just us old guys going, remember back in the day.
A lot of swear words, Fred, from Kevin Garnett. I know that.
Well, they're on the All Smoke.
Oh, that's right. Podcast, right.
All right. We'll be back in just a moment. blasting explosion.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
What do you think is a good number of games he played?
82 games, man. This is what the f***ing job calls for. You're not practicing. You're not even playing a whole you don't play in the summer.
Right.
I can see if you playing in the summer, you on the playground, you went to the Olympics, then it's training camp, y'all do 30 days of tour days. Okay, that's when you get rest. Man, I don't want to hear this man. I don't want to hear none of this Can sit out a back-to-backs. Bro. Hey, listen, we done with that comparison of the era. We're going to respect this era and what it does, and that's it. Don't compare nobody and none of this because you can't. If you ain't played, man, listen.
I think that's going to hurt Philly.
That's going to hurt Philly from not even that, but bro.
From a seeding perspective.
It's rhythm. One night I got P, next night I ain't got it.
You might have to they might put themselves in the position where they play Boston in the first round.
Bro, the league
that might not be good.
Control.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. Chris Forsberg covers the Celtics for NBC Sports Boston. That's Pearson Garnett, who were in the building last night, talking about Joel Embiid, who's not playing tonight for the Sixers and has already, before the season started, just announced, I'm not playing back-to-backs, by the way, like ever. Like, I'm just not going to play them, so don't get your hopes up, everyone.
Don't even think about it. It's not happening.
Yeah, like what? I'm just not going to do it. All right, Chris, what does this mean? I know the Popovich thing, and I know resting star players, but this isn't new. I mean, this is kind of new, just before the season. It's not new resting guys, obviously, but before the season, just making this kind of announcement. What do you think it means for the league?
So, I mean, for the league, it's not great. Like, obviously, there's going to be nice, especially when there's marquee games that they're going to want him out there, and I wonder how that will play itself out. You know, one thing I think, like, a couple big picture things. One, like, it makes me appreciate that Jason Tatum is out there. You know, as every other superstar is like, I need to take this night off, that night off. And Tatum's like, I want to play Monday nights in Charlotte. Like, people are buying tickets to come see me. And I don't think we appreciate enough that, like, they want to play, that they literally have to fight him to take a night off. And it's refreshing that your superstars want to do that. Two, I'm so mad at myself that I talked myself into the Sixers being a legitimate team before the season based on their roster moves. And already I'm like, what was I thinking? Like, they can't even get through the regular season, let alone what is Embiid going to do in the playoffs when he's got to go up and down for 40 minutes a night? And I just don't know if that's possible. You know, like, nothing about his history in the NBA suggests he can endure that sort of rigor of the postseason. And so, like, to me, that's what it hinges on. Maxey can be great, and Paul George can be much better than Tobias Harris. But if Embiid can't get himself up and down the court and give you 40 good minutes a night in the playoffs, you're toast. And so, I don't know. Like, they've got it's gonna be very interesting. Like, between that, the Bucks being old, you know, like, it's just not a good situation. And that's why, like, I'm further emboldened that the Celtics are just that much different than the rest of the East.
Yeah. Can I just ask you a question that might sound dumb? Why is it? I understand with Embiid in his legs and Porzingis in his legs, but why for, you know, let's say someone who's under 7 feet, is it so difficult to play basketball 3 days a week? When I just literally 3 years before that, they were playing multiple games a day in AAU.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's like pitchers in baseball. We're just way too sensitive to it. But now, like, I try to balance it because as I want to get overly worked up and sound like a dinosaur and say, like, oh, they can't play. Bob Cousy was playing in Converse high tops and, like, they were fine. Like, why can't they get out there? You know, I do think, like, the Celtics have treaded cautiously with Al Horford, and it has paid dividends. But, like, to me, that's a little bit different in terms of
38. Yeah, like, I get that. You know, and I get Porzingis, and I almost even get Embiid. I don't understand why. I know why they're doing it, and it might make sense. I don't know why you'd make the announcement beforehand. That just seems kind of like thrown in people's faces is kind of the point with that. And listen, this isn't being an old guy going, oh, they showed too many threes or there's no hand checking. But later in that Garnett Pierce thing, they do talk about how the game's not physical anymore, and they're not complaining about it. They're going, They literally, the two of them are talking about how are these guys getting hurt? What is making them get hurt? So two guys that played in the NBA for a long, long time can't figure out how this is leading to like why this is so difficult to do, to play play 78 games a season.
Like the Celtics have all these great sports science people that tell us, inform players the best way to keep their bodies healthy. And I don't want to disrespect what they do, but yeah, it's weird that we have so much more information. We have so much more analytics about how to keep guys healthy. And yet for whatever reason, it seems impossible. And I don't know what that speaks to. Is it just like the game is that, difficult on the body or whatever? But credit to the Celtics. Besides Porzingis, they really kept this team healthy last year. They limited the injuries. I think it's part of the reason they were so successful. I don't understand why it's such an issue around the league. And I hate that it's become such a common talking point where marquee games and you tune into a game and the superstars aren't playing. And I know they've done everything they can to combat it, but there's still work to be done because it's just not fair for people, especially that, purchase tickets far. Imagine being a Sixers season ticket holder and you're looking at your schedule now and 8 home games or something and Embiid's not playing. And you're like, well, is that fair? I just plunked down all this cash. It kind of sucks.
Maybe one of the issues is they're out there for so many hours beforehand. First of all, with the morning shoot around and then the warm-ups. On the handful of times I've been to it, game day at the Garden or other places, I'm like, these guys are working out too much before the freaking games. Maybe on the back-to-backs, they could just let them show up 20 minutes ahead of time, get dressed, and go out there and play. Chris, I'd be exhausted. I think they warm up too much.
I mean, Hardy, we're out there playing 36 holes of golf and stuff. We're grinding through. We can make this happen.
I ran a 5K on Sunday.
Was Jordan doing that, by the way, when he would go out and play 36 on a game day? Was he going to morning shoot around and then warming up 2 hours before the game, and then going in and getting dressed, taking a shower, and then you go out there and warm up again, and then you do the layup line? It's too much. It's too much.
I mean, I don't know. The other thing is if you've ever seen a shoot around, it's they come in, they eat their Fruity Pebbles, they get out on the court, they stretch a little. There's not a lot of hard activity going out there. It's more just okay, making sure you shake the cobwebs and get going. But I do agree. There's got to be a better way to pace everybody to ensure that in the 48 minutes that you need to be productive, you can be productive. Because even as a reporter, I want to go out there. I want to see the marquee matchups. I want to see it. I understand there has to be some semblance of pacing guys, but we just reached the point where it's maddening that even before the start of the damn season, we're sitting here talking about it.
Have Fruity Pebbles overtaken Frosted Flakes as the preferred breakfast cereal of the NBA? Because for years, Shaq was all about the Frosted Flakes. Mm-hmm. You mentioned Fruity Pebbles just now. Yesterday, we saw the now viral worldwide sensation video of LeBron James punking his kid by putting the Fruity Pebbles in the car.
Don't get me started.
It's the second mention of Fruity Pebbles with regard to the NBA in this show today. It can't be a coincidence.
I'm gonna have to do some digging and really lean into this. I do know the Celtics have this. They have a peanut butter dispenser. It dispenses natural peanut butter, the low sugar, the stuff that doesn't taste like Jaffe and all the good. Yeah, it's not as good, but it is super super fresh, I guess, out of this machine, and people swear by it. So I'm sure they have some healthy version of Fruity Pebbles that I'll have to find out if it actually exists.
All right, what did you make of the Bronny James debut yesterday for the Lakers?
Look, from a parent perspective, I think I said this before when we were talking about it. I think it's a cool moment and something that if I'm not an athlete, but if I was and I had a chance to play with my kid, that would be amazing. The video that you guys were referencing where they have multiple camera angles of Bronny getting into his car and LeBron pulling away, and I'm like, oh my God, it just felt so staged. It's enjoy your moment and get it in while you can, and then can we let's just let the poor kid go develop in the G League and see if he can actually be a pro without the crushing pressure of having LeBron James as your father on there. But it's I don't know, I want to celebrate it in one sense, but on the other hand, it's just it's such a spectacle, and I feel so bad for the kid, the pressure that he's going to endure. Yeah, it's just it's so unfair.
It's incredibly selfish of LeBron James, and it's funny because if you hear him talk about it afterwards, it's all about him. He's like, yeah, it's I'm so glad that I did so much that I could make this happen. I mean, he's a real narcissist. He hasn't thought this through at all. And if you're Bronny, I mean, again, I just think he took it too far. You want to help your kid. I see getting him into a college. Look, Was he a 5-star recruit for real? Probably not. Would he have been a McDonald's All-American? No. But, like, I can see, like, greasing the wheels at USC. You want him close, doing that. But I'd stop with getting him on the NBA roster or getting him drafted. That would be where I would stop.
You're not going to have to worry about it. He's going to go to El Segundo and play in the G League next week.
I'm just talking about it as a father, as Chris was. I just don't think I think it's incredibly selfish. You're putting yourself in the experience that you want to have over what's better for your kid. It's dictating their life in a way that benefits you. Go ahead.
I do believe like LeBron and probably like the same way I'd probably irrationally think my kids are better at something than they maybe are. And like, I'd like, you want to believe like that they're going to be otherworldly. And I do think like Bronny James has some talent in him that, you know, whether it was the health issues or just like, again, the being allowed the time to develop that, you know, will eventually shine through. It's just, it does feel a little bit forced right now. And what's weird is like, I think back to when I was a kid, you know, you remember Ken Griffey Jr. coming up and getting to play with his dad with the Mariners. And it was like a huge moment. And actually like one of the things I always remember, but it made sense because Ken Griffey Jr. was this otherworldly talent.
Number one overall
like
pick.
His dad.
Yeah.
No, that's why it was cool. It's because he was so. Because I remember it too. And even looking back, it was so great because he was 19.
19. It was obvious that he was great.
And I don't. And there was like a hesitation to bring him up. I don't even think they brought him up in the middle of the season, maybe.
Yes.
And like his dad was old as hell, but had just like and it kind of just ended up happening that way. Like that was the reason that was so great is that you knew everyone wanted to see the kid play anyway, and he's playing in the outfield next to his dad, who's been in the league for like, you know, his dad had been in the league and earned it.
His dad was 40. I mean, it's just he had been in the league.
It would be like
20 years.
If the kid at Duke, the New Hampshire kid, Cooper Flagg. It'd be like if Cooper Flagg's dad, you know, was a journeyman NBA player, had been in the league for 10 years, and goes like, dude, I'm going to stay in the league one more year to see if I can play with my kid. Then you're like, yeah, that's great. Everyone wants to see your kid. It's cute that you're there. It's almost better if the kid's better than the dad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%. And you know, I also wonder if like we would have viewed it differently in social media and like just all the Griffey would have been such a big story on the ramp up to getting to the majors that it would have been a bigger deal. And I don't know, maybe we would have viewed it differently. There is some bit of this that's like it was a little bit more endearing because we didn't know so much. But like certainly looking back, like it's something that not a lot of baseball memory stuck with me as a kid, and like that is one that I'm just like I was like fascinated by, and I wish it was the same with LeBron. I wish there was more just wholesomeness to it, and it doesn't feel like that's where we're at with it.
It's just it's a business. It's a selfish decision from a guy who has earned because he did earn it, because this is the spoils of it, basically running a franchise in basically the league as well. So I mean, I don't think it's a great look for the league. I think the NBA is doing a lot of stuff that's not so great for it. Like I don't think this Bronny thing and him getting drafted as like a joke is very good for the league. And I certainly, what we just discussed, I don't think is the greatest. But Chris, you are the greatest.
Aw. Can I tell you a quick story? I went to play golf at Blue Hills in Canton, and the starter walks up to me, and he's very nice, and he's like, you know, do you mind if we take a photo? And I'm like, there's got to be bigger celebrities that come through here, right? Like I don't even put myself in that class. And he goes, yeah. And he flips open his camera roll, and he's showing me Tatum. There were a couple Patriots guys in there, and then he goes, and this guy. And he pulls up a picture of Hardy.
Hey,
that was Matty Siegel's club.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So I then
you just put a smile on Hardy's face.
Oh, he's jumping for joy over here. Check him out.
I'm telling you, I was very impressed, and they talked to you right up, Hardy. So I need to get my swing in tune before I even step near a golf course with you.
No, that was very nice. You must get recognized all the time, though. I mean, you're this, you know.
No, God, no. I live out in the middle of nowhere. People are wouldn't even think I live out here. So they're very nice to me, and they let me be anonymous.
But when you come into civilization, you know, bi-weekly, you must get recognized all the time. You're a handsome fellow, and you're all over the TV set.
You follow Scalabrini around for a day and you realize what it's like to be recognized. When people come up and say nice things, it is as you guys I'm sure get it as well, is insanely flattering. And yet, like, I always feel so awkward because I'm like, man, this person must be so let down meeting me and seeing how awkward and like weird I am. So like it's a two-way street.
Yeah, I get the opposite when people get the pleasure of meeting me. I can see almost a sexual hunger in their eyes.
Men and women.
Yeah.
Because men want to be you, women want to be with you.
Men want to be in me, and women want me in them.
Okay.
Of course.
You know?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Adam is shaking his head. Like, yeah, I'm not sure about that one either.
Yeah, I don't like that hat either, Adam.
I gave him an SSD hat. I thought he was going to put it on.
And I gave him an STD.
Oh.
I'm having fun over here, Chris.
Thanks for being here.
I love it.
All right. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks,
Appreciate it. Chris Forsberg, everyone. I don't like that. Adam needs to guffaw at everything I say.
He gave you a mildly disgusted head shake with the preposition in that I think he found distasteful and maybe dumpable.
Oh, get out of here.
He
Stop
did not.
that
He did not do
nonsense.
that.
He did not find that. That's
No.
what are you talking about?
Okay.
That's nonsense.
I know the look.
Huh?
I know the look.
From when? He's been running your board for a long time?
Yeah.
He's got that hat on.
I used to make him come in and run the board for me every weekday from 4 to 7 on Rock 92.9. He was my producer.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, you were double shifting for a while there.
Yeah.
All right. We'll be back in just a moment.
Sports Hub headline.
for the program. There was some second guessing, second thoughts about it. And that I'll tell you, it's my opinion from talking to people that I don't think Gerard Mayo is assured of a second season if this is a complete dumpster fire.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. That was, we're brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. That was Greg Bedard on Felger and Maz yesterday. And we were talking to Callahan a lot about that yesterday. Why would, if they win this one game, they might win Sunday. But if they win two games this season, one game this season, what's the guarantee that Mayo stays? And Bedard says there was questions about him. And I mean, why wouldn't there have been? He never coached before. He never was the full-on coordinator before. Like, this is, how he handles things and how he holds this locker room is going to mean a lot. And if he loses the locker room and it's going to be a disaster, why let it go another year? Just, and by the way, Patriot fans, this is not negative because the quarterback's much harder to get than the coach. A really good quarterback will smooth out a lot of things with a bad coach or a decent coach. The quarterback's the hard thing to get.
There is nothing more important than developing this kid this season.
It's
beyond the coaching, beyond the personnel. Just make sure you keep the kid upright and make sure you don't spook him with bad play around.
And if that starts happening, oof. But you talk about whether they could get a win on Sunday, Fred. Do you remember before the season started that we were thinking, wow, this could be a really rough year. And I think it was Andrew Callahan who told us, he said, with a team that is not expected to be good and ends up not being good, he said, you have to remember during the course of the season, they're going to get a win or two against a team that they shouldn't. And that is, that's how these seasons go for these teams. And I remember asking Andrew after the Cincinnati win, I'm like, so is that, like a legitimate win, or is that one of those wins you were talking about? He goes, no, that's one of them. That's one of those wins against a team that you probably shouldn't, and you can't expect to win more games like that. And lo and behold, 6 straight losses later, you start thinking about, which seemed unthinkable after week 1, that you'd be wondering, are they going to win another game?
Yeah, Jacksonville was the easiest game they had left on their schedule by far. By far. Look at the rest of the schedule. What else is there?
I mean, Miami's got Tua coming back, which is a whole other thing.
I mean, I was going to say maybe Arizona later in December, but Arizona's looks pretty good.
Yeah, Arizona's
on Monday night.
Good team.
Yeah, and they probably playing for something in Week 15.
Their next chance is this Sunday. This Sunday is the next chances. You have a Jet team that's really, and I'm not just saying it, that's really down, and there's a chance you just, I mean, if you control the line of scrimmage and you run the ball against them, which is doable, their defense is really banged up.
How are they going to control the line of scrimmage? They couldn't do that against a team that's much worse than the Jets.
The Jets are very, very banged up. If there was a team you were going to, the whole secondary is gone, except for Sauce Gardner, who he takes little breaks during the game. And also not a fan of tackling. Not at all. He's like a Deion Sanders in that way. You should see him matriculate around a pile. Like when someone's getting gang tackled, Sauce will stand there.
I watched the Jets
make
thoroughly.
Sure good.
Kind of like a foreman.
Yeah, exactly. He's the foreman of the tackling.
You over there.
I don't know how they watch film and don't bust his balls constantly.
So now we got to start thinking about it. Like, okay, Gerard Mayo. Yeah, his issues with the team, social media wise. Maybe drop the ball a little bit on that one by telling the guys, hey, new culture here. You guys can express yourselves. And when they start expressing themselves, it becomes a bit of a distraction. Now he's calling the team out for being soft. Whether that works or not, well, we'll find out. He just did it after the Jacksonville game. See how that resonates in the locker room, starting with the Jets on Sunday. But if those things don't correct themselves, or he specifically corrects them, and they continue to lose games. And to just put the bow on it with the point you made, Wallach, if you start inhibiting or messing with the development of Drake May, make the argument to keep Mayo on for
No.
beyond this.
If there's no argument, because they're not going to win 4 games. So if that's is what it is. But if Mayo starts going sideways or starts complaining or he starts getting nailed all the time, then you really gotta make a lot of changes.
You have ex-players, Devin McCourty on Good Morning Football yesterday, saying that what Mayo did was wrong. I mean, this is Patriot on Patriot.
But here's the
crime
deal.
here.
But remember how many coordinators they talked to before they landed on Van Pelt?
Oh God, at least 3 or 4.
It was 15. He was like the 16th choice. It is true. So you can't, if you fire the coordinators, no one else is going to want to come in here and be a coordinator. You're not going to get a good one. The only way that you're going to get a decent coordinator is if you replace the head coach. How they didn't have a plan in who were going to be the coordinators and what the structure of this coaching staff was going to be. It's really a disservice to the whole team.
I think they underestimated how hard it was going to be by promoting Mayo.
But a knock on Mayo,
at the roster the way it was.
A knock on Mayo though is that he's been in the league for a long time as a player and he's been in the league as a coach. You didn't make any relationships that you could have had your plan. I mean, I had a backup plan. In my dumb career, I had a backup plan. Why wouldn't you have? If A happens, B is going to happen. That's what you need.
You remember that I think plan number 1 was Nick Caley, who coached with him here. Went somewhere else. It was a Rams offensive coordinator. I forget where he was.
My point is, John,
but that was his backup plan. He completely didn't understand that Caley didn't want to come back here.
Well,
Caley would.
My point still stands. You have to have a network of guys, and that they're going to take the gig. Jeremy, go ahead.
What's up, guys? Basically, I had 2 questions. My first one was going to be, do you think Mayo is our guy? And you have basically just answered that. Second, Milton, I mean, he's a talent. Why are we 1-6 and not trying him out? I'd love to hear your takes on that. Thanks, guys.
That's an excellent point. Joey Milton. Very fast, very strong.
Is this the beginning
he
of
can
this?
throw the ball down 80 yards down the field.
Is this the beginning of the feelings about this? Or please tell me that guy's an outlier.
Why not throw Milton in and just see what's doing?
Oh, man.
Let him in there.
Oh,
Slang that rock.
Just let him in there and sling it around a little bit. What are you doing? You want to sling that thing? You got it, Coach. You get in there and you sling that thing around.
A little bit later on, we'll get to what Jerry Jones had to say when he called into his radio show yesterday, not only about last week's incident, but about their coaching issues, if there is a coaching issue in Dallas. So we'll do that later in the stack.
But first, the Jaffe man is here.
Yeah,
he goes by the name of Billy Jaffe. He's waiting here. We will have him in studio in just a moment.
Toucher and Hut. The 98.5 The Sports Hub app. On the air, online, on the air. This is how Boston sports fans start their day. Toucher and Hardy on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
What's this?
Magnificent Seven by The Clash.
Billy wants a pencil.
No, I've never seen. I
at
think
that.
I'm back in second grade. I've never, of all my time here, I've never noticed that pencil.
And you know what's funny about Billy being in 7th grade is that he went to
His senior prom.
And I was shaving. Full time.
Yeah. You're a hairy guy. No
Ladies, they love
question
a
about
hairsuit,
it.
man. Yes.
All right, Billy Jaffe, you know
Good
him. He
toucher.
is the analyst for Nesson, the host of the Morning Brew. He's almost Hardy-esque in the amount of jobs that he holds. He does, of course, also the NHL Network so much. Billy, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
How was doing the Morning Brew this morning?
Haven't done it yet. In fact, we're doing it at.
Is it necessary to do it this morning? Based on the
yes,
how boring that game was last
yes,
night.
it is necessary because we promised it. We're going to sit down at 10 o'clock when I'm done with you gentlemen and record it. We contemplated doing it late last night, but it would have been a 1 a.m. record, and Razor was already sleeping because he didn't work last night, so we're going to do it today.
What was interesting about last night?
Tough game to talk about.
Tough game to talk about. What was interesting about last night was the NHL as a whole. It was the night where everyone plays.
Which was odd considering, wasn't last night also the opening of the NBA season?
Yes. And
correct.
it was two marquee games. It was the Celtics championship team against everyone's favorite team, the Knicks, every national broadcaster's favorite team.
Stupid question, because are the Knicks supposed to be good again this year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
They're supposed to be the second best team in the East to challenge the Celtics.
Yeah, they're supposed to be really good.
How did that go last night?
Did not go well.
No.
Not go well. The Celtics looked almost too good, but that's not a problem for the fans. But the it was weird. And then Bronny and LeBron James played in the night before. Let me ask you this, because you have a unique insight into this. You were you played hockey at Michigan. You were like a big deal college youth player and went into college. Your son Jake plays hockey. This is a serious one. I'm not busting your balls. So this doesn't say you have another son named Tomas, and Tomas is
Czech or sweet.
Don't confuse the effing story, you son of a bitch.
Is he adopted?
Okay, we'll pretend we have a yes.
He's been welcomed into the family. He's converted to Judaism.
They don't make a
Everything is
distinction
going
in the
okay.
Jaffe household between adopted or natural
Yeah. So
born.
what's Tomas'
We're a family.
situation?
A
You're part of the
family is a
family.
family, and you can sometimes God lets you pick them.
Tomas Jaffe.
Okay.
All right, so
TJ.
I'm
ready.
I just like how
They're a little embarrassed by the name Tomas, so they call him TJ. Okay, good.
Let's go.
Good.
But then he gets made fun of, and everyone calls him BJ at school.
What do you think they called me?
You put him in boxing lessons.
You just
can
got him.
stick up for himself.
All right, so here's the deal: is
Senior
that
prom.
Yeah, senior prom when you were in 6th grade? That's illegal. All right, so here's the deal. So anyway, so
Yes.
your kid's good.
Yeah.
Like he's big, athletic. He can skate well.
Okay.
He's probably a D1 kid. He could probably go to one of the bigger schools. Maybe though he's better off at like a not like a University of Denver or like BC or BU. Maybe he's like a little bit
Mid-tier.
lower D1.
A mid-tier.
But you go, all right, I'm going to pull some strings. I'm going to get you into Michigan. Okay, would you do that?
I would absolutely not do it, except if, what would be best for my, whether it's son or daughter, I would say, look, you got to do what you want to do
right
here. And if they said, I want to go to Michigan, I would probably do what any parent would do. And I would talk.
So would I.
You would talk to
So-
them.
so
But would
I agree.
But would I force it if
No,
I
no,
really
no.
knew it was wrong? No.
No. But if they wanted to go to Michigan, because it's a good education at the least.
Exactly.
It's a good
It's a great-
education.
exactly.
All right. Now here's my question.
Yeah.
So say you played 15 years for the Maple Leafs, and everyone loved you. You like ran the NHL essentially, and you knew your kid was the player I just described, and it was iffy if he should play at Michigan.
Would you force the issue?
Would you force the issue to have him play in the Maple Leafs with you?
No.
Don't you think that's incredibly selfish of the parent?
I do, and I think that it is. It sets your child up for what could be a real cluster. You know what later in life. Now, I'm sitting here in a very different scenario in the sense of I'm trying to get out of the reality of of this, and I know what the hypothetical you're asking, Fred, but. So maybe they think the LeBron obviously he thinks differently and everything.
Yeah, he thinks about himself.
I just think you're putting your child you're not thinking the long-term gain or game perhaps. You're thinking short-term and ego and that's my take on it. And I no, why would you do that? Let your child create their own path. Let them do it. And you know what? I mean, just because you don't make it to the NBA doesn't mean you aren't a freaking awesome player when it's all said and done. And it's the best of the best of the best in the world, but that's my take. But yeah, a lot of people would maybe see it differently than us.
I don't think so. I don't think because it was funny if you hear him. We played the audio earlier, but if you hear LeBron James talking about it, he never references his son once. It's all him. I got to do this. I'm in a position that I got to do this.
Do you think that he would have felt almost as a failure if he didn't? Meaning, his offspring should be that good, and this helps justify that. Perhaps?
I think this is the same thing as buying a mansion or a $100,000 watch. Is that look at what I did.
You can do it.
Look what I did. My kid's playing with me, and this never happens. Look what I got. It's like treating your kid as like an accessory.
You want to help. My philosophy, our philosophy, you want to help, you want to provide, you want all that, but you know what? Failure is normal. It's going to happen in life, and if you don't set them up to learn how to fail, and I think we're all, I won't speak for you guys. I know I'm guilty at times, like, I want to help them not fail, but you know what? Sometimes everybody needs a kick in the you-know-what and the reality check, but that's coming from just an average guy like me.
I mean, look at how the Howe's turned out, Gordie Howe's kids.
They all played, they all saw what it took. Look at what the Kachucks are doing right now. I mean, both those boys making it to the NHL. No, they're on their own, But no, the Howe boys were. I got to know Marty Howe real well. I enjoyed him.
I knew Gordie when he was with the Houston Aeros.
Did you really?
Yeah. I actually cut his grass.
Boy, they were screwing Gordie at the end.
You cut Gordie's out, really? Or no?
I
was like, I could see you doing it.
It's an imitation.
I would love to cut.
Another former personality on this radio.
Oh,
Jerry Trippiano was good friends with Gordie Howe.
When I worked at
the Houston,
because I'm like, you're not that old, but I could see you, being a little boy.
When I worked at for the Mitch Albom show, that brief period of time at WJR in Detroit, the Howe's not good to that man. His wife at the time was really trotting him out. Like signings at grocery stores and and he was all out of it, and she was like making him do all these public appearances.
Come on, we're going to Farmer Jack.
I can tell you that one of my first times in broadcasting, my first year pretty much full time, with Chicago Wolves organization. His son Marty was the assistant head coach, and anyways, Gordie was just we were hockey dead, and the Wolves were playing in the championship against the Grand Rapids Griffins in the old IHL, and Gordie came to games, but he came to it in the final, and he was, I'm doing, literally, I just fallen into broadcasting full-time that year. And when I say full-time, I was still bartending to help me, and having the greatest time in the world.
Yeah.
And anyways, Gordie's like, he came on for one of those, 17-minute intermissions, and because it was a cable channel, I think we had 15 minutes to go, and Gordie just kept talking and talking. It was one of looking back, I relish it as one of the highlights of a career, getting to sit and because I got to know him a little bit. Having him been around the games and stuff couldn't have been more gracious.
Gordie Howe only had 2 Gordie Howe hat tricks.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes.
And if you don't know, the Gordie Howe hat trick is a goal assist in a fight.
Yeah.
And did they fight
a goal assist and an autograph signing at Kroger?
They fought. Yeah, exactly. Or at Great Scott is where I met Jacques Lemaire. At the time, the coach of the Red Wings. He was at a table in front of. You want to know how little
Jacques
these
Demers.
Demers. Oh,
Yes.
sorry, Demers.
Yes.
I was trying to be too European with it. All right, the Bruins. You noticed I stalled as long as I could. There's not a whole lot to talk about with the Bruins right now. You like that they're going on the road. My opinion on all this is we've seen them win a ton in the regular season and be overmatched in the playoffs. If they're going to lose a couple games being a little slow, if that size helps them in the playoffs, so be it. how are you reading the situation so far?
How am I reading it? I'm reading it like they're missing some opportunities. In particular, the Utah game, I felt. Now, we liked the Colorado game, even though the PK, look, Colorado's power play is damn good, but the PK, gave up 3 in that game. But otherwise, they're 5-on-5, and their power play was really good. So we liked that, as a Bruin, analyst and people watching, you had to like that game a lot. They did respond going on the road. I don't like the fact that they've given up these opportunities in the last 2 games, in particular Utah. The Utah game was incredibly winnable. The type of team that they were playing, Utah, yes, they're excited going back home for just the second time this year after a long road trip, and the Bruins, the penalties and the turnovers are what has been very discouraging, disappointing. That's probably the right word. You're seeing some very uncharacteristic stuff, and you say, well, wait, when's it going to end? Those are the kind of things that you need to get out of your system, and the penalties. You're leading the league, actually tied now with San Jose for the most time shorthanded in the league. Those are a mental thing that you've got to avoid.
Explain to me Zadorov, who has at least one minor penalty in
every
all
game.
7 games. That's really impressive.
But also, the other new guys. Remember, a few games ago, Tufte took 2 penalties against Colorado. Last night, Max Jones took a couple. I wonder, John, and I was thinking about that, coming over here. It's like, I think some guys are trying too hard in certain ways and maybe getting caught out of position, and their mind, like last night, Max Jones is in on the forecheck on the second penalty that he ends up taking. All good, whatever. And then he reaches with his stick to get after it, and you could kind of tell by his body language he didn't like the call, but he did get the guy in the foot, and you're 199 feet away from your own goal line, so to speak, because it was in the O-zone. And it's like he's just trying to do too much, and that's a mental thing. You have to be more disciplined. So is Zadorov running around a little too much, getting out of position, making, I think last night's penalty, if I remember correctly, John, it was a hook or a hold, one of them. Yeah. Maybe he kind of had to. Anyways, it's just too much. All of them, it's too much, and we could literally have 20 minutes of what's not going right for this team. Fred, to your point about answering your question, is I'm not going to sit here and say I'm not worried at all. I'm going to sit here and say things have got to change. The question is, because these are controllable things, these penalties, these turnovers, I don't know. The vibe needs to change a little bit. With all that said, they got a tough game tomorrow night at home against the team in Dallas. It's going to come in snarling because they just lost to the Buffalo Sabres last night. We saw some wild games in the 32-team play last night. Some crazy scores and everything that you kind of wouldn't have expected. But one of those was Dallas losing in Buffalo. So this is going to be a brutally tough game tomorrow night for the Bees.
When you talk about the turnovers and some of the things that are going wrong, and I don't want to, get too far into it, but one of the things that I saw last night, and then you mentioned it in one of your intermission reports, were the passes that were going to the middle of the ice.
Yeah.
Are they trying to create something that's not there? Are they trying
they look, and a lot of teams, you look for, let's say you take it from strong side along the wall or whatever, you look for that mid-ice support for a weak side. Usually it's the weak side defenseman as an outlet. The Bruins are very, very good. Their system has always been good at looking for short passes to alleviate pressure in their own zone. However, it's way too many, to your point. And these are one of those things that when they work, it looks beautiful. When it doesn't work,
it makes the defense look silly when it happens.
When it doesn't work, you're saying? Defensively, yes, in front of your own end. When you're in your own end and the pass goes to the middle of the ice, yes, it makes the other team look stupid. When you're doing it in other areas, I'd say like neutral zone and stuff like that, when you're just trying to get stuff going, you can catch guys flat-footed, but they're not doing that in the neutral zone especially, and I can't for the life of me figure out why you would do it in your own end when you're playing defense and you're trying to clear the puck out. If you're going to do it in your own end, you have to be – those are those 100% certain plays where you're getting it to the middle. Last night, there were a couple of them. You had, I think, Lowry turned it over, but Coyle that one time in the first period off the wall brought it to the middle of the ice. I wonder in that regard, just me spitballing here, okay? And I wonder if he saw gold from
oh, come on.
No, I'm just saying but you have to know for sure. My point is you need to know for sure. You need to know for sure that your outlet is there.
That's how the pajamas that the Predators were wearing last night. It's like, I know what gold is. Yeah.
No, but I'm saying you think that your guys are, because this is a thing that they practice, the outlets. They do these short plays in their own zone, but that was not a good play. So They also gave up 40 shots, and the middle of the ice presence for the opponent has been there more. So right now, this team, it doesn't feel as connected as it needs to be.
Maybe that will come with time. A lot of new faces.
I hope so.
Marchand.
I liked his effort.
Okay. I mean,
he had that kind of breakaway. And Pasta had 2 breakaways.
Yep.
One, he didn't even get a shot on net. On the other one, toe picked. He may have got credit with the shot on goal. The ice was awful last night. Both teams, though, had to deal with it. But you could see Pasta, his right foot, gets into the ice, and he ends up going down. Again, we could go through a litany of things. You could touch on every player on this team. The fourth line, the Kastelik line, they didn't score, but they still do their job. So when I say you touch on them, you applaud them for what they've been doing.
I'm just talking about the fight at the beginning. That was fantastic.
Yeah, and Shen's a lefty, and so he managed that really well. I don't know if you saw, he had a bunch of hits to the helmet, Kastelik did, so he needed to get the knuckles fixed up a bit. But the kid, he did really well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Billy Jaffe, he's off to do the morning brew with Razor, and he will be at Nesson all season long doing the morning brew podcast and also with us. Billy, it's always a pleasure.
Outstanding to see you guys.
I will keep coming up with hypotheticals
Thank
for you
you.
every time that
Tomas
you come in
appreciates it.
Yes.
Well, TJ.
TJ.
You know what? I know he doesn't look like us, but he acts like us.
Yes,
and that's what really makes him a member of the
What's
family.
funny, his wife Victoria is like, Billy, give me another kid.
Yes, at 55, she wants another one.
She wants, I mean, why do you think you're going to Russia? You think it's a surprise party, but it's really, the surprise is a child.
I thought it was odd that they were having it.
He's like, guys, you'll never believe it. My wife made this trip to Russia. What are we going to do? Just look, see the sights, pick up a kid.
It was supposed to be China, but that went south. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, Billy, thank you. When we
you
come
guys.
back, I just laughed at an email, which is, as you know, for me, rare, because I have that part of my brain doesn't work anymore. We'll be back in just a moment.
Stay tuned for more Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
This.
Hunter and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
You know, I got an idea for a bit. The email bit. We should do the email bit. It's a great idea. Let's do the email bit.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy. You can reach John Wallach at JON at 985thesportshub.com, Hardy at 985thesportshub.com, and Toucher at 985thesportshub.com. And also follow us, if you would, please. Oh, God. Follow us at Toucher and Hardy on Instagram and Twitter, at Fred Toucher on Instagram, where if I haven't looked, but I'm at least a dozen over 24,000.
Okay.
So now we're building to something even bigger. I'm often reaching it going viral. I got a couple coordinated dances with my daughter I'm going to be doing. And then I'm going to take like a line from a movie, some dialogue from a movie, and try to look sexy and mouth the dialogue.
Yeah, you acted out in like a not perfectly similar situation, but something that kind of alludes to the situation that's happening in the movie. That's a good idea.
Why that's happening, I don't know. Now, listen, if you're hot, I'll watch you do it. But but I mean, you could just be sitting there or like jumping up and down. It's
Do you
the
feel
same
better
thing.
that it hasn't kicked in yet?
Yeah, I don't know why that's become a thing.
I don't know.
And it's not, and it's not even one of those like I be like. But whatever. All right, this one made me laugh, and it just came in, and it was just to me. Jay says, "Hey Fred, hopefully this makes it to .email bit. So I usually catch the second half of your show. In the last month or so, I noticed a new guy working the music in the back, Adam 12. Immediately when I heard you call him that, I said, wait, I know him. So I was thinking he was another famous Adam followed by two numbers. So here I am thinking you guys have the world famous cuck in the studio every day working the board. I basically thought this until about a week ago when I realized he's Adam 12 and not Adam 22. No jumper. Do you know who Adam 22 is?
I do not.
It's never come across you as you've been Adam 12 for decades?
I know all the other Adam 12s, but I don't know of an Adam 22 that is well known. Who is Adam 22?
Oh boy! All right, he's from New Hampshire, I think. He was a BMX guy that started a BMX site, and then it became No Jumper. He got famous because he talked to Triple Extension before he blew up. He started having these SoundCloud rappers on.
Okay,
it became like kind of a big deal. Then he married a porn actress, and it got into this weird thing where he's having these certain type of porn star have sex with her.
Okay.
And then they're releasing the video. And so, I mean, he's being a cuckold. That's what he's doing.
Sure.
And so that's the situation. I can't believe that you did not know who Adam 22 is. Based entirely on you being Adam 12.
Think, right, yes.
And this isn't a porn thing, by the way, either.
No.
This is a YouTube thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Sounds
the
like
porn
guy's-
thing came way later.
I was going to say, sounds like this is a guy who needed to do the porn thing because all the other stuff he was doing wasn't quite working out for him.
Yeah, but Adam, there's other ways to make money. He said, marrying a porn star, having her take a certain type of man.
Yeah.
And these are men that are known for something that some women don't even, like almost too much of a good thing.
I think I understand where you're going with this, Fred. Thank you.
And you're not shaking your head in shame this time. No. Like sometimes when I give knockout killer lines, you shake your head, apparently.
That was the only time I can think of doing that. And it was more of because I wasn't expecting you to say that.
Yeah, it was so.
Yeah, it took me aback.
It was so good. Yeah, it was one of those.
Yeah.
You know who that was like? That's like seeing Dave Coulier live. You're expecting him to go one way, but now he's doing the Bullwinkle. Ben says, and you know I got to read this one, and then I'll let you guys do whatever the hell you want.
Sure, you can just take a powder. Go ahead.
Thanks. I'll take a powder. Hey, Freddie T. Logged onto the YouTube this morning to check in on 12's hat situation. You really got to get rid of these hats. Or keep them for all you want. I think his friends, Hardy and I, are telling you a good thing. They're ridiculous. They have no form to them either. And Fred, you wear flat brims. Yes, but at least that's how the hat comes.
But I also wear some flat brims. I have a rotation of hats.
Yeah, and I don't make fun
Wallach.
of those.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I've already smashed the like and subscribe button, and I'm listening to the stream currently, double dipping. Well, that, my friend, you smashed that.
That's
that
helpful,
subscribe
right?
button.
Yeah,
we work that. And then you're part of the algorithm. What I found upon booting up the YouTube was a handsome face staring back at me. So now you think he's going to go Wallach. Why do you cover your face with the microphone, Fred? Is it Nicholas's fault? Nicholas! He writes, the people deserve to see that mug. With love, Ben from Weymouth. I can't tell you how many people are disappointed when they get on YouTube and that my face is obstructed by the microphone. No, it was not my decision. No, I had nothing to do with it. It is corporate doesn't want people to see my Drew Brees mole. That's not a joke.
You're not getting anything for that.
It wasn't a joke. Corporate doesn't want people to see my Drew Brees mole. I got a big Drew Brees mole.
Is it a mole or a birthmark?
It's the same thing. I mean,
no, it's not.
What's the difference between a mole and a birthmark?
A mole is like a protruding bump, and a birthmark is like a discoloration that is level with the rest of the skin. So I didn't know where you're going with that. You're talking about a birthmark. He didn't have a mole. It was a birthmark.
Oh, my bad.
Wow. All right. We had Milikin on the show discussing Fred's 5K.
Mm-hmm.
And Milikin went into great detail about what he thought a 5K was. He thought it meant 5,000, either 5,000 people or $5,000 raised. And then the discussion went to kilometers, or as Milikin called them,
kilometers.
Right.
Yes.
So we got a couple of emails about that. Good morning, Hart. We know that Milikin, during your time on Zoe and Beetle, we saw him struggle with U.S. geography and very well-known songs such as Hey Jude. That's true. He couldn't identify Hey Jude or Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Oh, boy.
Yeah,
no way.
That's not true. That's not possible.
Since you've been gone, Beetle and Zoe have tested him on the value of a new car, like Zoe's new GMC. I think he got a Tahoe. Tyler estimated the cost of the new truck that Zoe got would be between $25,000 and $30,000.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Does he live at home?
I'm not sure. He might live with his girlfriend now, but
does
maybe
she
still at
just
home.
do everything?
I don't know. Clarence says, is Tyler paid by your employer, or is he sent a monthly check from the government? Does he have handlers that make sure he can take care of himself? I worry. More interviews with him, please.
And you know what the saddest thing about that is that Tyler, you see that he doesn't know a lot of stuff, but yet his opinion is that, like, I'm bad off. That's a little frustrating. Do you want me to take a call from the guy who thinks we're the worst morning show ever?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Is that what he's saying, Nicholas? Nicholas? Zolak's calling in, too.
Oh, good. Is it the same guy?
No, Jim is not. Scott. We'll take Scott after.
I think Zoe's going to call right in after me because we were just talking. But come on, guys. You have a Bruins team that was pathetic last night. We're talking about cuckolds and we're talking about porn on a sports show. Like, come on. I mean, I get you want to interact a little bit, but it's boring. It's like watching Joe Biden talk on CNN, guys. Come on.
It's the politics and everything.
Here we go. You're like a reverse Doonesbury.
Now, were you listening at 9 a.m.?
Did you miss the previous 20 minutes of the show?
I don't get up till 8. Hardy, I don't get up till 8:30.
Okay,
brother.
we
Come
had
on.
Billy Jaffe on, and we talked nonstop
That's great.
Bruins for
That's great.
22 minutes.
Why don't we get Don Cherry on? Let him talk. Let him spice it up a little bit for you. Get Cherry on there in the morning. Let him talk about what's going on.
Is
The
he
GM
alive?
Horrible and needs to go. Right?
I'm not positive.
Is he alive? Good question.
We used to go to Don Cherry's in Windsor. Don Cherry's, we would drink the Molson Bradors.
Do you know this guy?
Yes.
No.
Jim, so you went to Windsor?
No, Fred, you know me, brother. Come on, stop. I'm just having fun with you this morning.
No,
But
I know.
really, we got to do something. We need a GM. We need a GM. in the
Oh,
Boston Bruins.
please. Don't relax about the Bruins. We were just talking to Billy about it off the air.
Don Cherry is 90 years young.
Yeah. All right, Jim.
Yes, he is.
All
Yes,
right.
he is. Hey, Fred, just spice it up a little bit, brother, will you?
Yes.
I talked about Adam 22 because of an email, and I just explained his story. I wasn't breaking down porn.
Fred, we have to improve the ratings. You got to spice it
Yes,
up a little
you do.
bit.
You got to improve the ratings. You
Yes.
got to. So if you're going to talk about Adam 12, let's talk about the real episodes, Fred, because we remember those episodes, right? And talk about the Addams Family. It's Halloween time. Why don't you do that? That'll spice your ratings up. Come on, fellas.
Jim,
Come
send these
on.
via
You're-
email so I can stack them. You're going too fast for my brain to keep up. Why was he agreeing with you about Don Cherry's in Windsor?
I don't know. don't know.
Very bizarre. Like, I'm like, oh, do you guys know each other? No, we don't know each other at all. All right, please, Adam. There's sometimes where it's not necessary. All right, Scott, go ahead.
No.
Can you play Def Leppard Hysteria, please?
All right, I'm not doing this every
Yes.
day. I'm not doing this every day. I'm not doing it every day.
Are you going to take today off?
Breer texted me, and he's like, did Scott really call and request songs? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, oh, my God, ha, 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 what a dick. And I go, yeah, he does that to antagonize me. And then I start saying stuff, and then I'm the dick. Because no one brings up, like, Scott called in and started mucking things up. It is, yes, I'm taking great joy in all of this, of course. And Scott is too. We all are. Okay, go ahead. Let's change the subject.
We almost made it all the way through without.
We did make it all the way through. Go ahead.
Thomas wants to have a contest. Wallach versus 12 in a crappy hat contest.
What's wrong with this hat? This hat is good.
Oh, no. Adam wins every single contest with that. Adam wins everything. Worst shoes, stupid hat, everything.
Socks.
Oh, those socks. What's up with
Wallach?
your
You know
socks?
what? I've noticed sitting next to Wallach in the post-show meeting every day, he wears some fanciful socks.
Really?
Did you know this about John Wallach?
I did not.
Oh, they are full of whimsy. John Wallach's sock game.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because John's, except for like his insistence on wearing Kraken gear, his clothes never have raised. Believe it or not, I really don't look women or men like really what they're wearing. I'm so trying to fight my own thoughts that I'm not the most present individual. So
therein lies the Fred Toucher.
So if you're like Adam and you're wearing a hat that gets my attention and it's cut through all the muck, then you're really wearing something.
Mitch in New Bedford has a very good question. What happened to Tyler Milikin's cousin, the intern? He says, I expected a live version of Banner 18 at the Celtics ceremony,
yeah.
but alas, nothing.
Let's just let it roll.
Yeah.
See the people hanging in the bar in the evening on a Thursday night. A little light is shining off the parquet, lets me know everything's alright. Banner 18 makes me feel fine, blowing through the rafters in my mind.
He would have been a nice addition to the pregame ceremony last night.
The crowd noise in that is absolutely perfect. Not too much, not too little.
So I walk up through the north end, down the tunnel and across the floor. Banner 18.
Did you put footsteps in there?
I did.
I'm noticing like a lot of production now.
Rafters in my mind.
The wind blowing?
Yeah, I get it. I got that.
Okay, all right.
Well, that's
Jason Tatum is
a Celtics player. He's just a guy who will give your team 51. I'll give you team 51.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. When we come back, we will do our sponsored stack segment, and then that will be it for us.
Jerry, we're going to talk Jerry Jones, right?
Yeah, hopefully. The Jerry Jones thing, he was back on that radio show that he was horrible to, so we will have that for you. it rising and grinding.
Start your
Got
day.
your finger on the pulse, Fred.
Begin your
Seldom
day
right and never wrong.
right here. Is that Toucher or is that Hardy?
I know, looks like a poodle. It's an effing poodle, dumbass.
The Sports Hub. We know what you're thinking. What could I possibly have missed from the show? It's time for The Stack on Toucher and Hardy.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. The Stack is brought to you by D'Angelo. Grilled sandwiches, sink your teeth into steak royalty. D'Angelo's legendary #9 grilled sandwich, tender, juicy sirloin, onions, peppers, and mushrooms, grilled to perfection. Get yours today.
Jerry Jones called into his radio show yesterday, the Jerry Jones Show, which he's kind enough to call into a couple times a week. And this was after last week when he took exception to some of the questions being asked of him by the actual hosts about the team's personnel and what they did in the offseason. So, they thought maybe they'd revisit that to start his visit with the show yesterday.
Jerry, well, what do you want to say, if anything, about last week?
I don't have anything to say about last week. Tell you, I'm surprised that last week got the attention it got. But, really when I think about what we try to do on this show, for me, is I think we give you 2 shots a week that I get on. And those are really a privilege. It's kind of like pillow talk.
So, wait, so he's saying it's a privilege for them to have him?
I believe it's a privilege for them and
Yes.
for the audience, because you got to get a little insight into the workings. But I was surprised that people took exception to it. And much the same way, I was surprised when they brought me in for the questioning of JFK, because I knew Lee Harvey Oswald, and that was documented. He was a good old boy, but he and Jack Ruby was a good friend of mine. So I was surprised that they had questions for me in that incident.
It's like a woman complaining when you throw a wad of money at her and tell her to get the hell out after you had sex. I gave you pillow talk, woman. I asked you, I said, how was it? And you said you loved it. Of course you did. And then I threw a wad of money at you and I said, get. You've had Jerry. Now, Jerry, this shot's going to last another 45 minutes. Bring in the next one, Hoover.
Surprised when these indigenous folks start complaining about the derricks I put on their land. You ain't doing nothing with it. I just need me some oil to come out of the ground. Frankly, I was surprised. They should feel privileged that I wanted to put some of my monstrosity oil wells on your sacred land.
I
on
got
your
that
tribal
land fair and
grounds.
square. I gave you many trinkets. Sure, those blankets had disease all over.
I know it's sacred to you, but it ain't sacred to me, you understand?
I'm willing to take my chances.
I've seen poltergeists. I know what can happen.
Yeah.
But they only moved the headstones, you see, and there weren't no headstones.
All right.
So there was that, and then he got into his critiques of his head coach, Mike McCarthy.
We've, in my mind, we're not playing very good football right now at all. The types of things that we all think we should be looking at is, well, we're designing bad plays or we're designing bad concepts.
He seems to have a real handle on what's going on over there.
Jeez.
That's a book report on a book you haven't read, as we've made that reference many times.
It sounds like the ramblings of an absentee owner, not an owner who is actually on site and also, the GM of the team.
I was just going to say, you're supposed to be in control of this thing, aren't you?
Well, yeah, but his knowledge of football is, look, he's been around football his whole life, except for when he was, kicking oil out of it or whatever the hell he did for a living. But he doesn't really seem to know what the problem is or be able to articulate it. The plays we're running aren't good plays.
No, they're poorly designed.
See, what a play's supposed to do is get you in the end zone. That's for 6 points. Sometimes you get a little short of the end zone, but you get yourself another first down. And our plays are not designing it in that way.
I think we should be instituting the forward pass more often than we have been. It's a new concept.
I went wing T. I sat down and I said, listen to me, fatso, you're going to do this wing T. I brought you back Ezekiel Elliott. What more do you want from me? Why Derrick Henry running like the Dickens and I got Ezekiel Elliott? He can't even get on the field. A book's going to come out about him and you're just going to go, and it's just going to be like illegal to have. It's going to be so bad. When it's the minute that guy dies, everyone's going to turn around and go, here's what's going on.
Let me tell you a story about a big piece of crap.
Yeah,
Jerry Jones.
And then you got to go, was it worth it that forever, I'll be forever remembered as this huge piece of garbage.
Last night, Fred, people had gathered at City Hall Plaza. The big show was going on there with Kenny and Ernie and Charles, and everybody was down there. There was also a drone, because now there's a drone everywhere. There's everywhere. There's drones at your kids' soccer games.
Yeah.
There was a drone buzzing over a wedding that was taking place at a golf course I was at recently, and an otherwise lovely ceremony with a.
And it was by the wedding photographer to get aerial shots. Yeah, I just remember my son having Little League practice and trying to get them to focus while some dork ran his drone above the practice. Like he couldn't go anywhere else to fly it. And by the way, those have cameras on them, you psychopath.
Yes.
Maybe don't fly it over the kids' game. What are you doing with that footage?
Well, this drone actually fell down and injured a few people and sent one person into the hospital. Boston police say at least 3 people sustained non-life-threatening injuries from a falling drone around 7:30 last night, just as the game was tipping off. One man who was hit by the drone said it sounded like a banging sound when the drone crashed into him. Heard a loud sound, sounded like banging. Suddenly I felt something hit my head. Right there, a sharp pain. I was initially very scared. Sound, sharp pain. I hear the woman next to me scream, and it seemed like she was going to fall.
Sometimes I've hit my head before because of a drone. When Wog's droning on, and I catch 40 winks. Sorry, man. Every comedy has a victim. Every bit of comedy has a victim.
Wallach, he's apologizing for about the droning on and on thing.
No, I don't think that was the case at all.
No, he did.
I did. I just apologized.
I heard him
for it.
apologize.
I don't accept your apology. I'm sorry.
Nick Gemelli, who was so insistent on these films. Oh, he's a big film lover. He put an item in there for us about the latest rumor about the latest Christopher Nolan film. Is Nick available? Nick, could you encapsulate what the rumor was? Because
he's got to put his bag on the chair.
I read it briefly, but it seems like it is something that the world has been asking for decades now. What type of movie is it going to be?
Oh, I have no idea.
You didn't read the story?
Well, I read actually, you know what? I read it. It's about vampires in the 1920s.
Oh, thank God. Finally a movie about a vampire.
And it's starring
they described that decade as roaring.
It's starring Matt Damon and the Spider-Man kid, Tom Holland.
Oh, yeah, everyone loves him. He's sober. Who's the guy that is in the Venom movie?
Tom Hardy.
Oh, Tom Hardy, because Esoteric and his wife were at the premiere of Venom in Times Square.
Yep. Yep.
He asked me if I was at the show.
Oh, what'd you say?
I don't know. I was going to talk to you about that.
Did he text you?
No. Yeah.
When? Yesterday?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
And I actually was waiting to talk to you.
Oh, no. We'll,
oh, boy.
We'll workshop a text to return text in the post-show meeting.
Thank you. Well, the good news is he wouldn't have known.
Yeah, I'm an ass man.
I mean, we...
No.
Yeah,
but
we're not gonna lie.
The good news is there wasn't like backstage passes.
Yeah,
it wasn't
yeah.
gonna be like a whole thing.
We're not gonna lie, but maybe there's ways of saying it without saying it.
Look, this guy was just at some comic book thing that's gonna take him a while to come down from.
Right.
Hometown show. Then he's off to Times Square to see some comic book thing. That guy who stars in Venom is a huge Czarface fan. I'm being serious about that.
Tom Hardy is one of my favorite actors. That guy's phenomenal.
Yeah, he's like big into Czarface. Like reps them all the time in interviews and stuff.
All right, that'll do it for us. Everyone, just get out there and seize the day. And stay present. Focus on John's socks. Focus on Adam's hat. Do things like that. And if they're wearing something dumb, tell them.
Yes.
Tell them. That's as the Buddha guides, and that's as we will.